the worst Game of Thrones podcast ever. We have
By
a new
far.
intro today provided by Beck Jules Firth.
There's not going to be an intro, Aaron. There is not going to be
Not
this
for
intro.
the
Not today?
live bullshit, but for the
the podcast.
if you're listening to the
Oh,
audio
right.
version, you heard Beck Jules Firth, who is the coolest person I know. She is a social justice warrior, just like Roy and myself, and really fuck Buzz Aldrin. So the rest of us win.
So, welcome to the latest episode of The Second Sons. Today is the first episode that we are recording at the end of the school year, so you can definitely tell that our teacher friends here are enjoying the end of the school year. As always, I'm Roy Rogers, and with me today is which one of you wants to go first?
Me.
I'll go first. Oh, no, screw you. Me first. Lucas Sedlasky holding it down here on the West Coast.
Yeah,
Repping SoCal Thrones.
Yeah, there we go. It's only 6 p.m., right? Out where you guys are, is it
7.
7?
7.
Okay.
We're not 4 hours behind. There's not 4 time zones in America.
I don't know. I don't fucking care.
Really? Don't know? Okay, sure.
I don't care. All right. And
I'm
then
here. Hi.
the other person here, besides our illustrious stream host Buzz, is
Yeah, fuck you. Let's move on.
all right. And Buzz, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine this morning.
All right. This morning, that's right.
By the way,
So actually, technically, tomorrow for us. We're not actually in the same day right
Hey,
now.
I'm in the
who's that?
future.
You're in the future.
Whose
yes.
fault is it that we're doing this late?
Not mine.
Mine?
was just-
I wanted this early.
Bullshit. It's
No, I
Lucas's
won't.
fault.
No.
It's my fault.
It
It's
really
totally
is.
my fault.
Yesterday was your fault, Buzz.
What?
We were supposed to do this Wednesday, and now it's Thursday. Or
Yeah, and
Thursday, and now it's Friday. So it's Buzz's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I like that
What
it
was
switched
that
from me.
sound?
That's good.
All right. So, well, first things first, I want to, before we get into the content of this episode, I want to thank everyone who liked our Facebook page, which got a lot of likes very quickly.
You guys
And
are
so-
assholes.
Yes. No, you're not assholes. You're great for liking it. So if you do like
Assholes
us
are great.
on
Do you
Facebook,
not like assholes?
Are
Are you anti-asshole?
Well, I mean, what are
Homophobe.
you talking about?
Homophobe.
Okay. No, I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole with you, Aaron.
You're not gonna go down that asshole?
Yes, I'm not going to go down that asshole with you. Instead, we're going to pivot to what I wanted to actually say, which is to thank everyone. If you want to follow updates like when the podcast goes live, when the podcast episode that you can download will be up, when Buzz puts up the YouTube, all of that will now be done from the Second Sons Facebook page. So it's a nice, convenient place for you to like, which is AGOT Second Sons at Facebook. And oh yes, the whole back catalog. I spent last week doing this because my girlfriend is in Britain and I'm unemployed, so I don't have a huge amount of stuff to do.
You're unemployed? History
I'm-
teachers not as in demand as they used to be.
No, we're not. That's sad to say.
Trump 2016.
And so the entire archive is up. So if you want to go back to our back catalog, you're more than welcome to do that. We're also on iTunes as well. So yeah, there's all that. So all of that administrative business is out of the way. Why don't we move into what we actually want to talk about today, which is right at the end of
I want to talk about John Dark Knight Andrews looking like
Okay.
powder. Motherfucker is basically powder with a little bit of hair.
why is he powder with a little
Because
bit?
he looks like powder. Watch the movie Powder. That's
I
what
have
John
watched-
looks like. Except
have
he's tall.
I have not watched.
That's it. That's John
the
Dark
movie
Knight
Powder
Andrews.
since it- When did that movie come out? Like
A long time ago.
Like I haven't seen that movie since it came out. I actually remember.
I imagine the iconic scene of John like falling into the mud puddle backwards. Just the contrast.
Except
of the
that
dark
then-
light of his
then
skin,
half of
his
Canada
pale,
is covered in
luminescent
mud.
skin.
He's a fat fuck.
That is not true. John has lost a lot of weight. He's looking good actually.
Hey, in fairness, John is still cooler than Sean Emberley. Have you ever been to a bar with Sean Emberley?
No, Aaron, I have never been to a bar. with
Yes, you have, you lying motherfucker. Hit puberty.
We're talking to me or to Sean?
I mean, obviously, Sean.
Right.
You have facial hair.
I do have facial hair. I like my facial hair. I trimmed it a little bit this week. This isn't
It's
great.
like,
for your
why am I
device
awake for this bullshit?
friends.
I don't even know these people. Fuck them.
Okay, so getting a little bit back on topic, besides talking shit about Beyond the Wall, although I was surprised that you didn't talk shit about Alex Hines, which is usually what Aaron wants to do when Beyond the Wall comes up. But what I want to talk about is right before 2.0 launched, Aaron did a big initiative to convince all of the major 1.0 metas that were transitioning over to 2.0 to begin sharing deck lists regularly. Anything that won a game night tournament.
Hey, someone's
or-
echoey. Who is it?
Is it me?
Probably me, I guess, because I can't hear it.
I can't hear it.
In the background, no?
So it must be you, Aaron.
Hey,
Echoing?
listeners, can anyone
What?
hear it?
No
I'm
echo.
not moving.
Probably
It's not
Aaron.
I don't
echo.
hear.
I guess it's Aaron.
All right, whatever. Can listeners hear it? Because I'm not in the chat room. No one sent it to me. Everyone knows I need people to send the chat room to me.
I hear it. It's
Uh,
faint, but
we
we're
don't
good.
want
Move
you
on.
in the
It's
chat
not
room.
like the squalling child of last week. We're good.
Yeah, my child was amazing. I got so many compliments from him.
On the power
Okay.
of her lungs. All right, go ahead.
His motherfucker.
It
is.
I
Hey,
mean,
You
in
don't
fair-
know that.
Hey,
All
in
right.
Know that.
fairness, he decides that in like 10, 15 years.
That's right.
yeah, that's
That's
true.
right.
Yeah, I actually got applause from my class. My class was like, "What do you prefer, male or female?" And I was like, "You know what? I don't really care, but that's his or her decision down the line." And they're like, "Woo!" And I was like, "Wow, I didn't actually expect applause. I expected shocked silence." But
They're just surprised you're white and not that young, so they're just like, whoa. And from the East Coast.
Am I the
you're
oldest
breaking
person
all
on
the
this podcast?
stereotypes.
Hey, Buzz, how old are you?
I like
26.
how Buzz.
How old are you? Oh, God, you're a fucking baby. How old are you?
Yes.
I'm 34, man. I definitely have age.
When's your birthday?
Are you 34?
I'm 34. When's your birthday?
Crap, you say your birthday first.
August 26th.
Yeah, I'm March 27th. I win.
You lose, loser.
How old did you say you were, you guys?
We're
I didn't
So
know
I have
so.
seniority on the cast. That's good to know. It's good to know going forward.
Yeah, you're definitely. Wait, no, you're not older than me.
45?
I turned 35 this year. I'm older.
Wait a minute.
You bad at math, motherfucker.
So
Oh, you're right. Yeah. you're
One of
older.
my kids
so-
keeps messaging me for like his regent score. I don't have that shit. So it's just stop.
okay. So besides the birthday shenanigans, let's try to get back on topic.
Wait, when's
Okay.
your birthday? How old are you?
Me, I'm 31. My birthday's April 25th.
Buzz, you were officially.
You were invited to my birthday party, but your kid was born. Like, right
Yeah,
now.
I'm so sorry. God damn that.
I throw awesome birthday parties.
It could be
okay?
worse. I could be Sandy.
That's true.
You know what's sad? Sandy has never been on this cast. This is a drunken podcast that Sandy has not been.
Ooh, we should get
well,
him
if
on.
Sandy
Thank-
wins Origins,
thank
which we will
fuck.
get to,
Hang on, I'm calling Sandy.
we will get
Right now, I'm calling
will-
Sandy.
But let's get on topic. Let's go. We're not doing another 2.5-hour marathon. Let's do it.
Okay.
I've got work in the morning. You shut up.
All right. So, what I'm trying to say is this: cut the bullshit. All right. When we transitioned from 1.0 to 2.0, Aaron convinced all of the leading metas to share their deck lists that won something, and that has actually been the culture of 2.0 since then. If anyone goes on Thrones DB, it's not just Steve sharing every deck list that comes off his brain. It's things that Buzz has won, and
Who's
all of
Steve?
those kind of.
Scantrell.
There you go.
All right, I just saw Scantrell in person, so I'm this
Why
past
did you
weekend,
say
so I'm just
Scantrell?
calling him by his actual name. All right, so anyway, but as Craven said on last week's banter behind the throne, I wonder if this has actually ended up being a good thing, because if there's one thing that I
No,
think
you
the
don't.
sense that we're gonna get, we'll get there. The sense I get though is that many of us here, particularly for those of us who are beginning to push for Gen Con testing or other big events, because I'm sure there's nationals in Europe coming up and things like that, is that the meta might be a little stale right now and a little solved. And what I want to ask you guys, do you think the fact that the meta has been solved and that we see a lot of the same decks in every single tournament that you go to, do you think that's just a product of a small card pool, or do you think it's a byproduct of this fact that deck lists are everywhere, that you can get a good version of Lanny Dragon, for example, by just going on Thrones DB and Googling it?
Thanks, Ryan.
So no one wants to answer?
I can, but I'd rather wait.
All right. How about you, Sid?
All right, I'll start. I I think it's a good thing. Deck sharing. I don't think the reason we share decks is the reason the pool feels a little bit solved right now. And I kind of disagree with the idea that it is solved. I think kind of the big dudes deck is dominating right now. But there are some control-y decks that can hang, maybe not quite as consistently. And I think there's still room to improve them. I don't think solved is quite the right term right now, but I definitely think we're seeing a trend towards these kind of big dude decks. But I think people would have gotten to that conclusion anyway. I mean, it's not a big puzzle like why things like trading with a Bentoshi and a bunch of 6 and 7 cost guys, which wreck your opponent's board, is a good thing to throw together. It's not like, ooh, I figured it out. Right? You just have a bunch of big guys, you have a bunch of econ, and you just throw them down and you win. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I play that deck, that type of deck, fairly often. But I think there are answers to deal with that deck. And I think people are trying to figure it out and deal with it. I think if you look at Johnny Wright's latest 2 articles on the White Book, you'll see someone trying to do something a little different that can work against that deck. Now, it did not work against that type of deck just this last weekend at our SoCal Regional. But it did put 3 guys in the top 8, a more control-y tempo deck rather than kind of a big guy smash deck. So
Did they play the Martell Lion that they've built with me?
did.
Okay.
They did, yeah. Three guys did and made top 8 with it. I got 9th. Shout out for the bubble. I think I'm now the Bubble Boy is my new nickname. Missed it by that much, but that's all right. And I was playing a big guys deck, right? Me and Ryan Jones were like right on the edge, and then we just got thrown off the cliff. It was fun. Not really.
You playing Lanny Dragon? Or
yeah, we both.
Hey,
were.
in fairness, no matter what deck Ryan Jones is playing, it's a big guy's deck.
It's a big guys deck, yeah, and it's. I played something that wasn't a big guys deck at Kubla Khan and went 4-2 and barely missed the cut, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna play big guys, and then I played big guys and went 4-2 and
What'd you play?
barely missed the cut.
What
What's
deck
that?
was it?
Same thing, Lanny Dragon, the
Oh.
same deck that I had built with him and kind of tweaked the night before Kubla Khan, but then I was like, no, I'm not gonna play this fucking big guys,
Then he
and
won.
then and then I
he
regretted it.
won.
And then you
and-
played it again and you lost.
And then I lost.
You know what
but
that
he
means?
did too. But he did too.
You know what that means? Read the
mean?
meta.
Yeah.
What
So,
won? Wait, what won?
original
What won the
question.
second one? No, fuck that. Shut up.
What won the regional?
What won the regional? Lanny Kraken.
Lanny Kraken.
Wow.
Okay.
Lan-
Well,
all right,
another
guys,
big guys deck.
You guys heard it, first.
It was totally another big guys deck. Just the other big guys
No,
were
You,
big guys.
you
right?
guys heard it. Lanny Kraken beats Lanny Dragon.
Well, it did. It
the
did. that
QR
day.
shows it.
Sure.
It did on the day.
I mean,
yeah,
it
was,
can beat Lanny Dragon. Like,
No,
I
it
mean,
can't. Shut up. You're bad at throws.
well, I am. But that's not here nor there.
But getting
yeah.
back to the original question, I think it's card pool size more than it is kind of a solved meta. I think it's just a really consistent way to play the game right now. Just throw big guys out. It's easy to get big guys out, and there's no way to really wipe them off consistently because Varus is our only true board wipe, and Varus gets eaten up by these big guy decks. I mean, Miri can just rip them apart. And so can a Put to the Sword, which you can usually get off with all the big guys. It's not that hard to deal with Varus, and especially since most of these big guy decks are running some version of Lannister, either banner or main faction, and they can treachery him. So Varus is not very good. I'm not in love with the Varus right now, and I usually am pretty in love with him. And so with no Varus, you've got no reset. And with no reset, big dudes kind of rule the roost.
Buzz, what do you think?
That's my take.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the solving of the meta doesn't change with a big card pool or a small one or releasing decks or what you want. It's just the speed that changes, I think. The meta updates faster. People who aren't as good deck builders get their hands on good decks and can evolve them a little bit, make them their own. So it evolves quicker, and the counter to the good deck comes quicker, etc. In first edition, I think maybe went 6 months or something without a FAQ, changing up the meta.
What's our first
And-
edition?
What?
What's
Just
first edition?
Ignore him, Buzz. Just keep talking. Just ignore Aaron.
Like,
Okay, so you went like 6 months with basically no changes, and the meta still changed a lot because decks weren't shared, and then they figured out counters to the established ones, and it went so slow that the counter to the first good deck made up the next good deck. But this goes so much faster now with the deck sharing.
Okay. Aaron,
no, you
Your turn.
first.
me first. I mean, I do think sharing deck lists. I think it's a great actual democratizing force because I do think the sense that deck lists weren't known in 1.0, I think comes from people who weren't necessarily, I guess the best way to say, scouting. Like, if you really wanted to know what, for example, like the DC Dragon Pit deck was, like it was possible to find out what it was.
Yeah, because they stole it. Because they stole it from us.
Because they stole it from New York, or whatever the big deck
or
were.
whatever, or is that a fact?
Right. Well, I'm not trying to get into the specific
Wait,
history.
no. I
of
would
this,
like
but
to know the specific history. Is that a fact or is it not a fact?
It is a fact, yes. Dave built that version, and you built that version. But anyway, and that they then took, and Dave won what? Thrones Toberfest with it, right? Was that what it was?
I don't remember.
But
shitty tournament, but one of them.
yeah, one of them. Anyway, Thrones Toberfest will not be shitty this year. It's going to be hosted in New York, but that's not here nor there. My point is lost. You hijacked it. Right. But now with the common deck sharing, you don't need to be plugged into a meta like SoCal or Sweden. You don't need to be able to go on the Skype chat and direct message Darknage to get, his, Martell deck that he took to Canadian Nationals. You can just go on Thrones DB and see a winning deck list and pull it off. And so in many ways, knowledge is more accessible, which I really, really do like a lot. Even though it's never like a problem that I've had as a Thrones player, because I got very lucky in the sense that I got immediately plugged into a large meta that was always willing to give me deck lists. And, the deck list that I did well at Gen Con with last year was a Dave Stroms and Darknage deck. Not me. I did not build it at all. And things like that. But at the same time, I'm with Buzz, but I have a more negative view of it. I think though the frequency of deck lists being shared does give the impression that the meta is solved faster. So I think it gets stale more quickly instead of like in a very public way. And that I think is a problem, particularly when we run into gap periods like what we're in right now, where there's not new cards. When new cards are coming every 3 to 4 weeks, the meta is constantly evolving. Just because new cards are coming. Even if technically the meta is not evolving in the sense that like the best decks aren't changing hugely, you still get these new cards and you see people want to play with these new cards and all these kind of things. But right now, since we're in the gap period and, the rumor is that we're not going to get, a new pack until nearly Gen Con time in the US, until the end of July, people are going to are really going to feel that the meta is solved. And that does have to do with the fact that deck lists are so accessible. So I think in general, I think it's a good thing, but I do definitely see some of the weaknesses that this openness creates. And now to you, Aaron.
Right. The good thing about this is that new players suck balls, and this makes them suck less. Like, seriously, think about where your new players in your meta are right now, and think about where the fuck they would be compared to us without this. Like, if we showed up with Lenny Dragon, and they showed up with their bullshit, like, Terrell Fealty, where would we all be? We'd all be like, this game is a waste of time right now. I can win everything unless you're, like, really in this shit for self-validation. This game is nothing. Am I wrong?
No.
I think you're right to an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many new players can come up with good decks without good players?
It's not easy. A brand new player has a hard time, I think, coming up with a really competitive deck, because really competitive decks don't just follow a simple criteria of, oh, let me just get like cool characters and plots that seem nice. Like, most new players aren't really thinking too much about their curve, aren't thinking too much about synergies, not thinking too deeply about their plot deck, right? The plot deck is just like
new
"Ooh,
players
ooh."
is bitches. Let's move on.
I mean, that's
So-
not all right. I'm gonna slightly push back on this at least a little bit.
Roy is bitches too.
I am bitches, but that's not here nor there. That's not the word I would use, but I am definitely a
I
soft.
am bitches.
But that's not here nor there. My point is this: like, I think you're right about new players, but I think the problem new players have, if they're experienced card game players, they can figure out thrones like pretty quickly. I think the actual biggest learning hurdle for high competitive play is the plot deck. Like I particularly in second edition, like I've seen experienced L5R players, Magic players, Netrunner players build decks mostly on their own, and the draw deck is pretty solid. Like they can figure out Jamie is a good card, Tywin is a good card, Tyrion is a good card.
Numbers are wrong. The
Right, numbers are
styles
wrong, right.
And they run
Right.
extra bad cards. That's the difference.
Right. It's not a perfect deck. It's not a Aaron Glazer deck or a Sid deck or whatever deck. But it's a fine like
I mean,
baseline
a
deck.
Sid deck runs shit like that bouncer event. So
Totally. I
All
love
right.
it.
Anyway,
Shit
let
that
me
wins.
finish. It's the plot deck that's the most flawed. Like it's just they don't really know what plots are good. And I think that's what the openness of the deck list does is it gives you a baseline to operate. Because I think the hardest thing in Thrones deck building is figuring out which plots are the right ones. And
is that the hardest thing?
I think so.
No, I think the hardest thing.
Maybe
is
that's
like,
just a hangover from 1.0.
No,
maybe?
yeah, I think the hardest thing is like 2 versus 3 Jamie and Y. And like then what do you replace that third Jamie with? Because 2 Jamie is generally the right number. We all agree, yes?
Yeah.
Buzz?
What?
2
2 or
Jamie? You asshat. Would you run 2 or 3 Jamie in a general deck?
In a general deck, because
Yeah.
see, I would say depends on the deck, but
Yeah, of course. We all know it
generally
depends on the deck.
2, of course.
Yeah, generally 2.
Yeah.
But like what do you replace that
Or
third
1.
Jamie with? And because that's what you tend to or 1. But that's what you tend to top deck when you're like in a good match, right? That extra card because Variance is an asshole like that. But that's the difference. No?
Yeah.
Do you think that the deck sharing makes it harder to be an innovative deck builder?
Yeah.
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 People
sure.
who thrive on showing up to tournaments with something special, something people haven't seen before. I think that's become way harder with more prevalent deck sharing.
I think the amazing players are going to be amazing. Like,
Oh yeah,
remember Donovan when he first started?
Yeah.
Yeah, like was he good?
no, he was very bad.
How did he compete at Stalik?
Yeah, he won.
By what? What did he play?
Well,
A
the
completely
best
original
deck.
deck? Yeah, he net decked. Like there's this element where net decking matters, and there were original decks that played well, but like a lot of new players, and Donovan is obviously amazing and probably would have been good no matter what, right? But a lot of new players need that like helping hand, and at 1.0, I feel like they wouldn't necessarily have got it, and that's
Yeah,
why
unless they were in one of the big
yeah,
metropolitan
if
areas.
you're
Yes.
and honestly, the Netherlands weren't a big meta at that time, so they wouldn't have got that help.
But they were
like,
traveling a lot, which helped.
yeah, I mean, but like, part of it was just literally stealing La Plan's stack, right?
But I'd
think,
say that the noobs, they just one thing too. They don't get good because of the deck sharing. They
Oh,
get
see,
good. No, they get good faster.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea. Like, I don't want to go to a tournament and just beat a bunch of noobs up because they don't know what they're doing. I want them to get good fast so I have real games. And, like, I know winning is nice, but, like, I'd rather play a bunch of good games and lose than play, like, roll over a bunch of noobs and win. And maybe that's just me.
No, of course.
I
I
mean,
was gonna
yeah,
say-
I agree. I mean, I'd like to have both. Like, it's just really.
You'd
nice to
rather
play
just
games
roll
and
over
win.
noobs. That's
No, I like to have both. Like, I'd
That
like
is
to,
fun. Roll over noobs.
rolling over noobs and then also
would-
have good games.
Man,
is
I always
awesome.
feel bad when I beat you, Roy.
I know. You never feel bad when you beat me.
But
ever.
you'll sit
Yes, I
down
have.
at a big tournament, like a 40 to 50 person tournament. You'll sit
Look,
down
I
against
got a
somebody,
cat. Look,
and they'll be
cat.
like, I just started playing, and then they flip over like a good deck, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I need to be on my toes. In the 1.0 days, someone would be like, hey, I just started playing. This is my first tournament.
And you
I mean,
roll their
we had a
face.
guy make top 4 at the SoCal regional we just had last weekend, and it was his first tournament. And he had a legitimately good deck. He played it really well. He was an experienced card player, but it was his first 2.0 tournament ever, and he crushed it into the top 4.
I love
And
that.
it's a different world, the deck sharing world, the world where like most people know what's good. Even new players, when they walk into a tournament, makes tournaments tougher. But I want to get back to that point about like creative decks. I think it's still possible because most people aren't sharing kind of new decks, or at least no one's paying attention to shared decks until they win something, even if it's just a smaller tournament. So I think there's still room to be kind of creative and intuitive and to win a tournament with a deck, but then it's out, right? Then people know. But you can still kind of do something in the lab, right, and make something and win with it. But then once you do, then it's out, and other people are going to play it, and you just got to be cool with that.
So, I've got another thought that sort of piggybacks on that. I think the real problem is that people just accept good decks as they come, new players. And I guess I can see why as a new player, but that was never me as a new player. So it was sort of unanticipated. I knew the meta was always copycat, but like as a new player, when I knew the best deck, and the best deck when I started was Bruno's House of Pain. My like goal in life was to find something that could beat House of Pain. Like I built 50 decks that I thought could be House of Pain. And eventually I found one, and then husband got fucking eroded to oblivion, and that was cute. But like I had a Martel Hollow Hill that was really good against, but neither here nor there, right? Um, like instead of trying to figure out what beats the top deck, a lot of new players just like, well, I'm just gonna play it. I don't have to put any thought into it, and that makes me a little sad. Like like, I don't understand why you play a card game if your response to a really good deck is, well, I'm gonna play that, instead
Well,
of, well, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of that, and it's gonna be funny.
yeah, I have a similar impulse. Like, I truly hate usually hate most of the top
That
decks. Like,
background noise is Roy, by the way. Go ahead.
what background noise? I
I,
haven't done.
I hear a breeze.
There's a fan going somewhere.
Yeah.
No, that is definitely me because
See?
it does get really hot in my closet of a room. I
Mhm.
apologize.
Take off your shirt, Roy.
I'm not gonna take my shirt off.
Yeah.
I'm very out of shape.
I got to do that.
He can't.
And I
We
think
will get banned.
you get banned from Twitch, right?
Yeah.
Not here nor there, which is my phrase today. So I totally understand, like, and I come from Aaron's point of view. Like, I generally don't like playing the top deck, like Landy Dragon, Landy Kraken. I play the decks in testing. Like, I tested with Sandy for Origins a bunch yesterday. I just don't enjoy playing those decks. Like, I tend to find them really annoying and not fun to play or play against. And I try to play things that beat those decks. But I totally get the appeal for a new player of just showing up with the best deck, right? Because for a lot of people, like particularly if you're new and you're trying to get to the tournament scene, a lot of them just want to win, right? And if you're a new player and you just want to win, like trusting your own deck building and your own, like, not everyone has the self confidence that Aaron has, right? Some people want the safe bet, and the safe
It's a
bet right now
facade.
is to play. Like when Landy Kraken was the big deck, like in the middle of regional season, right? It was, I want to have a shot at the cut. I'm going to bring Landy Kraken. Like, and even though, and then eventually though, once people start winning something, they'll tend to feel a little bit more confident and more willing to experiment. But new players whose goal is to be top players are going to gravitate towards whatever the best deck is.
It's all about challenging yourself. For a new player, the challenge is to place well in a tournament. So they don't care about what deck they play. They want to place well in a tournament. That's the challenge, right? For me, or Aaron, we've won something. We don't care about winning with the best deck. We want to beat the best players. That's fun. That's challenging.
So important. Like, all right, yeah, that's important. Like, new players need to know that. If you win a tournament, none of us are going to care. Oh, hey, that actually sort of ties into John's question. Roy, you want to say John's question?
Do we want to save that?
No,
for...
no,
I think we're not there yet.
No, because this is the answer. The answer is no one cares if you win a tournament. It doesn't mean anything to any of the real
All
players.
right, that's not true. Like,
okay, no.
That's
It
not true.
matters to you. When you win, it matters. And here's the
Okay.
thing: as a new
Alright.
player, your first big tournament, maybe you're like, I'm just going for fun. But if you go like 1-5 or 2-4, it sucks. It hurts.
Yeah.
Like it
Trust
feels
me.
terrible.
I've
And you
been
want to be better. The next tournament, you're like, that is a horrible feeling. I don't want to scrub out. I want to do well. And if that pushes them towards kind of like
Time.
better decks, great.
It's time for everyone to tell their first tournament story, starting
Oh
with
my God.
Lucas. What's
Okay,
your first
starting me. Are
tournament?
you ready? All right. So I'll say my first big tournament. My first big
No, real
tournament.
tournament. Your first tournament, motherfucker.
That's not fair
Yes,
because
it is.
it's not fair to John Bruno because I beat him in it,
Fuck John Bruno. No one likes him.
and I had no business beating him in it at all. It was like a 6-man tournament, and he drove like 350 miles to be there,
And
he was
lose to a
he was
noob.
dogs. He did. He totally lost to a noob. No net deck. I just built a noob terrible deck, and I anticipated his other's plot somehow. Canceled his reset, and like he was barfing, like actually barfing though. Like he was so sick at that tournament and after that tournament that I can't call it a legitimate win because he drove up while sick and was sick at the tournament and was sick after the tournament. But yeah, but I knocked his face in. It was so great. I won a 6-man tournament, my first real tournament. It was awesome. But then I played him again at KublaCon, my first KublaCon, which is my first actual like real tournament, and he smushed me. He just smushed me. He just pounded me into the ground and under his boot heel, and he like anticipated everything I did, and I had good cards out, and it didn't matter. And I realized then that when I beat him earlier, it was a total fluke. That worked out.
So
Lucas Flucus,
wait,
and
hey, here's what's important.
yeah,
Like
sucked.
the point I was trying to get to with your story. Sorry, because I'm an asshole like that. In second edition, you beat him again.
Yeah.
Like that's an important difference, right?
Yeah,
Like in
sure.
first edition, if he's better than you play twice, you are fucked as fire. Like you don't have a prayer. Like Buzz, remember when you started playing?
Yes.
If you beat Jakob once, would you beat him the second time with the same deck?
No, I butt-headed myself into a wall against him. I played like 50 games when I first started. I had this. I just started playing Lannister and tried to make Powerbind the Throne work when it had fallen out of favor. And he had this really good Bara Shadows deck. Well, really, we were all noobs back then. Even
remember
Jacob
that
wasn't
deck.
very good.
But he still
And
beat.
yeah, of course, I was completely new. And I'm gonna win with this deck. I did once, maybe, I think.
Yeah, the same thing with me and Stroms. Like Strom slash Strohel. But like when you start playing, you're like, I can beat this guy once. Exactly once. In 2.0, you can beat that guy 50 times in a row if you have the right deck and they have the wrong deck. I think that's a flaw in 2.0 and not a flaw in what we're doing. Am I wrong?
I mean, yes and no, I guess. Like, I mean, let's take Dan for example, Dan Struhall, who I play all the
Yeah,
time.
I've met that guy.
Yeah, you met that guy. I guess Buzz hasn't met Dan, but Sid, you met Dan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But Dan is just an amazing player and an excellent coach. I play Dan all the time. The thing is, if Dan and I are playing the exact same deck, once again, pick Lanny Kraken as the example of like a platonic good deck, right? Dan will beat me 99% of the time. But the decks, right? The thing I think that's different, like between 1.0 players transitioning into 2.0, is the decks that Dan wants to play in 2.0 are not necessarily good decks in 2.0, right?
Yeah, we
He
handed him
wants,
a deck.
yeah, like the Greyjoy Dragon that he did really well at Dance with, which was built by what, you and Dark Naj, right? And to a lesser extent, Sean, I guess.
No.
Okay, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
like two guys.
Sorry for me trying to be gregarious.
Fuck, you just have facial hair. Why are you giving him credit? Go ahead.
Sorry. You're generous, actually, not gregarious. But anyway, so
Lucas, drink. Oh fuck! Luke
Dan,
is in the room.
Is he trying to butt in here? Don't let him in. Don't. No. Keep him out.
and Dan, Dan does well when you give him a 2.0 deck. But Dan wants to play 1.0 decks. He wants to play, Aaron's mini curve decks, right? Yeah, same with
those.
Buzz here, right? Like, that's the problem. I think there's a lot of really good 1.0 players whose hearts are not into the 2.0 mindset, and that's a problem for those of us who care a lot about 1.0 players sticking around for second edition. That's the thing to me. Like, I think, like Aaron, we're all about to kick into high gear for Gen Con, and I think about to. Like, I think when you give Dan the best 2.0 deck you've built with John and with other people, and you are bringing the best deck that you built, like, Dan will probably win more often than not. But if Dan was just sitting there building a deck, he'll probably beat him because he'll try to build something that's a 1.0 deck. Like, I think there are really good 1.0 players who haven't transitioned over to the 2.0 mindset in the way that someone like you and someone like Ryan or Sid have transitioned over to. And I think that is, like, within this community of people who love 1.0 and love 2.0 and want to see that together community transition, that's a problem. But in the bigger scheme of things, it's not really.
So, I think the question is, beyond Dance Terrell, is 2.0 a skill-based game or a deck-based game?
It's a skill-based game, of course, but you have to play the statistics. It's more like poker. We will play 100 games, and if I'm better than you, then I will win most of them. In 1.0, I could crush you 100 times if I were the better player.
No, you can't. Sorry, John's like...
I would crush you.
No, you wouldn't. Dark Nodge, I know, like, very few people know this, but part of the reason Dark Nodge is so good at Thrones is Dark Nodge is a world-class poker player. He played with a lot of the people that you see on the World Series of Poker and such. And, like, you don't win every time. Part of the reason you lose is because bad players make suboptimal decisions, and that affects how often good players win.
I don't think you just disagreed with him.
I like that.
I think a better way to phrase that is that the gap between what makes a good deck and a bad deck, I think, at the highest competitive level in 2.0 is higher than it was in 1.0. And that has a lot to do with the smallness of the card pool, but I also think it has to do with some design decisions that Nate and Danny made. Like, just playing a high efficiency big guy good stuff deck like Landing Kraken, again picking that deck, is gonna win than other decks. The other decks are played by people who are more skilled than the person playing Lannister Kraken. I think that has a lot to do. I'd say it's 75% the card pool. Like, if more control cards are printed, that will go down. If there are more cards that are high skill cap cards are printed, that will go down. But I think right now, going into Gen Con, going into Origins, a couple days, we'll get to that in a second, even going into Worlds and Stalik, like, the gap, it really matters what deck you're bringing. And then questions of skill comp. Like, if two people have in a Lanny Kraken mirror match, skill matters a lot.
No, it doesn't.
But
one person set up Tywin. Goodbye.
Well, okay. Well, do we want to transition to the next topic then? Like, this is a good point to transition to the next topic, would be, we're going to talk about Gen Con's coming up, Stock is coming up, Origins is about, like, the first big North American tournament is about, big. We'll get again to that in a second, but we're leaving the regional season behind and moving into national season and continental season and world season. So that means we're going to get an FAQ soon. Almost certainly, right? There's been a lot of rulings that if you look in, the Arbor, infamously, this Benjin nonsense, Wildfire, what is it? Wildfire Quentin Benjin, right? That's the bad interaction. Or the John, or the Greg versus that European guy who wants all spoilers for free fight. over Jon Snow and Robb. There's like a lot of weird interactions that have sort of accumulated over the last year.
Ugh. Hey, can we bitch for a second?
That's what this
M-Plane,
podcast is for.
what's his real name? Larrick
Larrick, yes.
is the biggest douche in Thrones.
Wow, he has a lot of competition
No.
there. Like,
Yeah,
Who's
yeah,
worse?
I don't know, man. Like,
Wait, what about your feud with what's his name?
I don't know.
Which feud?
Like
The
Wausau.
Manners guys,
Like Wausau guy number
they're
3.
all better than
Oh,
M-Plane.
John
No,
Peters.
no. They all understand that a Game of Thrones is a game, and therefore they're better than M-Plane, who's the biggest douche with his giant pink douchey beard. I hate that guy. I can't deal with him.
He
So
has kind of like usurped the Discord chat as well.
He really.
He's just-
I
he's
I
just
don't
like-
even go onto
He
this.
just kind of settled right in and made it his home.
Yeah, wait for me to get on there when I'm cranky.
Uh,
That motherfucker's gone. This is why I'm not an admin on the Discord chat, by the way.
Um,
It was, and I was like,
a good
hey,
thing.
Will, I need to not be that.
what was I gonna say?
Does anyone like him?
I don't like him,
Who?
but the thing I do, the Larrick guy, the guy who started that whole fight.
Yeah. No.
I don't like him, but
I
as
don't
far
really
as
dislike anybody. I'm
his
like,
troll, like I don't like his internet persona. Let's be precise. But of all the trolls that exist in the Facebook group, at least he trolls about Thrones, and he gets in fights about spoilers and things that have to do with the game. Like I'm just sick of the people who troll the Facebook group about things that have nothing to do with the game.
like social issues.
Yeah,
If
social
if he
issues.
doesn't,
Like,
if
I
he-
don't want to have a debate about gay rights and the Thrones thing. Like, you should just support it, and you shouldn't be saying things, derogatory to minority groups
yeah,
on
but
your podcast.
you're not.
but-
you're not a.
But
real
that's at least
person.
that's not about Thrones, right?
No,
That's
yeah.
about,
As far as
like,
Thrones goes, fine. As far as Thrones goes, he's the biggest douche in the world. Like,
that is-
if you hate gay people, Buzz, type less loudly. But like, if you asshole, if you hate gay people, you should not be listening. You should die in a fire. I will light the fire. You're a scumbag.
Is
But
Aaron
like,
bringing back DIF? Wow.
die DIAF, motherfucker.
Bro, you don't say
but-
the A. It's an unnecessary
DIAF!
Totally
That
unnecessary.
was very stupid, yeah. But
all right. We went on this Larrick
no,
tangent.
no, fuck that guy. Like, I want to. The whole point of this podcast is so I can say shit like this.
Yeah, I'll be.
I wish he never
Yeah,
played
sorry.
Thrones again and went away.
I think you
So-
think about him more than the rest of us do.
I
Aaron.
really
I
don't.
think you're a little bit obsessed.
Every time I open Facebook, I've got a fucking pink beard staring me in the face.
He is. He's very active.
It's
I'll give
really
you that. He's
fucking-
very active.
Because
Very
every
active.
time he says something, it's really fucking stupid. So next,
Yeah. So we were talking about the FAQ. So what would we want? To
wait,
see?
no. He's also mad at banter, and
Wow.
Banter is the
You're
best.
super
Thrones
obsessed,
podcast.
Aaron. Let's
Wait,
move on,
what's
buddy.
the best Thrones podcast, Luke?
Huh?
What's the best Thrones podcast?
With this one? What do you mean?
That's bullshit. We're
Okay.
the worst. The real best Thrones podcast
Hey,
is banter behind the throne, and you should never.
Okay, I'm gonna say something controversial. Not lately. Not
Nope.
lately, guys. The banter level has really dropped. Like it's way down there.
When
it's,
the
it's
real
rock
host-
bottom levels.
but
like,
when the real
banter
hosts
levels
are on.
down here.
But
Huh?
when the real hosts are on, like when they have guests, it's hit or miss.
Nah, just like the last 2 months. Like I love all those guys. I really do. But the banter has been really low, like super low.
Well,
They need to-
they aren't really releasing episodes, so that's
That
a
hurts.
problem.
But even when they do, the banter is subdued.
I really enjoyed their last episode. I
So,
thought it was,
I think we need to rename Second Sons to the real banter behind the throne until they set their game up.
I'm not
Welcome
gonna
to
bump
the
that.
real banter behind the throne.
I love Dave and I love Craven.
You're
I
such a
don't know
bitch.
Peel, so
Fight them.
But-
Fight our friends.
I don't. I don't.
Fight
I don't
our
believe in
friends.
interceptor.
I don't. What's the other?
I
one?
mean,
Oh,
to be
Peel.
completely honest though, like
Peel.
the White Book and
What's the
Second
white
Sons are the only. Well, yeah. In fact, we're releasing more often than the Midwest guys too. So we're them actually, and I guess Great Beards as well. Like, although, have you guys? When was the last Great Beards episode?
3 hours ago, 3 hours
Yeah,
ago.
but-
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
there we go.
Okay, before that, though. Before that, like,
Yeah, it was 2
Imminent.
weeks, I think.
Great
Yeah.
Beards is
So we're reliable. The only
We're-
reason we're not
Second Sons-
reliable is because Buzz needs sleep sometimes.
No, we're doing every other week during the summer.
Wait, hey, Lucas, are we doing next week?
no. We're on the white book next week.
Fuck
Aaron.
the white book. If we have a special thing,
TBD.
yeah, if we have a special thing, Will's just gonna have to be sad.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Anyway,
It's a bridge.
oh my god, you're impossible tonight. Okay,
I've been
so
drinking for 7 hours.
yeah, okay. So anyway,
It's time to
Eight-
just pound
8
like a bottle of
hours.
whiskey and pass out so we can get through the rest of this episode, Aaron. Just like knock out.
all right. So FAQ. What would we like to see in the FAQ besides obviously a compilation of the Alex, Nate, Danny rulings? What would we want to see from the first FAQ for 2.0?
I
Do
want
we
to go
want to
last.
see? Do we want to see a restricted list? Do we want to see errata? What do we want to see? Buzz, we'll start with you.
What? No.
Yes.
Okay. Errata. I'd like to avoid it. I'm very much in the Heinz corner here on erratas.
Ew, you bitch. Sorry.
Really,
Like ketchup?
like change. Yes, changing the text on cards is just no. They're that's a really last resort. So restricted list, no, of course not. That would be stupid. But since we have to discuss it, what would I put on it and why? If there were to be a restricted list, I'd like it to be not only, oh, that's a good card, let's put it on the restricted list, which would be Miri, Tywin, etc., right? I'd like to put stuff on there because they are overplayed. Maybe tune down Banner of the Lion. Everybody plays Banner of the Lion, right? So you put Tyrion and the Hound on the restricted list. That could work. The issue then becomes, when would you play the Hound? I don't like that. So it would probably be the Hound and Gregor, maybe? Something like that. But I would put on overplayed stuff like maybe kill events, maybe Hans Judgment, maybe some big guys. Yeah.
Okay, Aaron.
Nope, I'm last.
I need
No, already
your.
called
No,
it.
Sid.
Well, when I
already
introduce a topic that I don't tell anyone else about, I've had the most time to think about it. So me,
Roy, your webcam.
Over prepared.
Oh, I lost the internet again. So hold on. Let me try restarting my webcam. Oof. Okay, it's gonna. Well, I can't go, so someone's gonna have to go besides me while I try to fix my webcam. So I can't
Fine.
articulate.
So I want a big bunch of shit of the best high cost stuff on the restricted list. I want people that have never deck built in their life beyond the really obvious cards around the edges to have to deck build. I want the following on the restricted list. I want Tyrion Tywin. I want Balon. I want Gaston Grey and Nymeria. I want Dracarys and Mary. And I want Bobby and Melisandre. So that if you're going to build a deck, you have to actually make real decisions. Beyond just saying, like, hey, here's some good decks. Because, like, if all those are restricted, I don't know what the best deck is, and none of you do either. And then we have to actually, like, build to discover
Fixed.
the best deck. And I think that's what makes Thrones interesting. Instead of just going, like, this has a 2.2 qualification ratio, so I should totally just play that. No, you have to go, like, I don't know what's actually the best for, like, and then new cards come out, and you have to figure out which restricted you want. That's real decision making. That's what Thrones is to me. That's what Thrones was to me, and I'd like it back.
I'll jump in before you go, Sid. I'm actually gonna go. I agree with Aaron. Like, there's a couple characters I'd like to see. Like, I'd like to separate maybe a few of the kill characters. But I really want to agree with Buzz. Like, I'd like to see Put to the Sword and Tears restricted, so you can't run a deck that does both, or even throw Miri on there. Like, I think there's too much targeted kill in the game, and it's warping the meta in a way that I don't find very enjoyable. Like, I just do not enjoy Miri. I don't enjoy Miri plus Tears plus Put to the Sword plus Tyene. Like, I just do not find games that revolve around how often you're going to kill my characters, particularly when the game is already pushing you towards 5, 6, 7 cost characters that cost a lot of gold. Like, if it was all my characters cost 2 or 3 gold again, all of the kill in the world doesn't bother me. But the fact that you're requiring me to play these marquee characters to really be able to close games out and to win in a timely manner, I would prefer not to have so much targeted kill. So if we're going to restrict anything, at the very least, I would like to see tiers and put. So you can't run the Lannister hyperkill decks that
Oh, shit. Oh, God, very much.
are, running every removal under the sun.
Everybody say hi, Carla.
Hi, Carla.
Hi, Carla.
Much love, Carla.
Roy loves you, or much loves you.
On to Sid.
So I'll second what you said about tiers and put. I actually agree with that. I would like to see those two jump on together. But I would actually like to see plots because no one's kind of mentioned plots yet. But I would like to see trading going on the restricted along with some of the big dudes, like the most impactful big guys. And then if you throw trading on there too, I think it's going to push people towards a lower cost curve. Not that they have to, and you wouldn't have to even with that deck. You can still play other econ plots, but trading is just, it's such a no-brainer, and it's going to become more of a no-brainer when the winter and summer plots come out. There's going to be even less reasons for you not to play it because a lot of people are not going to want to play naval with all the winter and summer plots. So trading, I think, is going to be everywhere. It's just like dump big guys out. But if you've got big guys and trading on the restricted, I think it pushes probably trading off there, and then the big guys become a little tougher to play. And I really liked the meta before trading. I feel like trading really changed the meta a lot. And I'd like to kind of push away from. I mean, a deck should not be able to run like 2 7s and like 2 or 3 6 guys and just get them out at will. I don't like that.
I'm going to be completely honest. I really like the meta up to First Snow. I'd like to see like First Snow and Tywin to be on the restricted list to break up the hype. I know. Like the hype, because a lot of the things that
Buzz
kept
is getting
Lannister
grumpy. Careful.
I know. A lot of things that kept the Lannister big dudes decks like in like honest have been pushed out of the meta. Like the mini curves. That's fine.
I disagree 100%. I think what kept the Lannister big stuff decks out of the meta was that people didn't know they were the best when they were.
I don't know. Like the Knights Rush could beat Lanny Rose. It could beat like the best deck, like the best Lannister decks at that time, because the Lannister decks at that time didn't have the renown that they have now, and the ability to shit out 2 renowned characters plus Miri and kill your Knight of Flowers. Right? The Knight, like the fact that
What's a Knight of Flowers? I've never seen that card.
Yeah, except for the deck you won Saturday with that.
There was no Knight of Flowers in that deck.
In the Lanny Rose?
Was there? Maybe one.
Yeah, there definitely was.
I
Maybe
don't know.
one.
I'm going to Thrones DB to check. Go ahead, continue to discuss.
But my point is this: like the fact that mini curve decks are just dead, or first edition decks are just a dead archetype, is a bad thing for the meta right now. And I'd like the restricted list to do something to bring those decks back, and maybe restricting Tywin and First Snow, or something else that sort of keeps First Snow in the meta, but pushes it so it's not the most defining reset in the game.
Run more.
But feel free to chew me up.
Yeah, no, I don't think I disagree.
Like, run more Forgotten Plans. Yeah, I mean, I've never once been hit successfully by someone's Forgotten Plans, but of course I haven't been. Never. I mean, they've accidentally hit things, but like they've hit like a noble cause when they thought I was going to First Snow, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I still have like Tywin, and I'm still going to play Jaime. I just can't play like all of the things I was going to play this turn, and then I First Snowed the next turn. Like things like that. Like I've not actually had it like hit something that really matters yet. I mean, that could just be I haven't played against players who are clearly better than me that are running Forgotten Plans, but so
no
far
one's playing it.
Yeah,
No,
like
so
far I haven't seen it.
You know who's playing Forgotten Plans at Gen Con?
Who's that?
What's his name? Roy. Who should
Not
play
me.
Forgotten Plans at Gen Con? Yeah, obviously not me.
Dennis? I don't know.
I'm gonna pee during the guessing game.
Dan Struhel.
Oh, Dan. Yeah, well, Dan
Who
is
will
really.
hit every goddamn time they play Forgotten
true.
Plans?
That's true. Dan does do that.
Where's my decks?
Although Buzz, you seem to be your face was definitely expressing the most discomfort with the idea of pushing First Snow out of the meta. What are your opinions on this?
It's
Or push it into the margins.
fun. It's fun. That's all you
So
need
what's
to know.
fun about just shitting big guys and then winning?
What does first snow has to do with that?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, first snow. The question is, how am I put this? I don't mind first snow in Martell decks. Like, I think it's interesting. Like when you get first snow by Martell, because Martell has like interesting 5/6 cost characters besides Tyene. But like Nymeria, Arion, like these are
Yeah.
interesting cards
Hey,
that your
why-
opponent does interesting
Why
things
was
with.
Tyene printed?
I don't know. That
like-
that's not
It's a
to give
bitch.
Martell a boost, which it does do.
I mean-
But my point is, like, I just hate Lannister first snow decks, I guess, is the thing, because Lannister first snow decks are not, oh, this is going to be an interesting turn where they have to decide what they're going to steal with Nymeria, or oh, what is Arion going to sneak in, or whatever. It's going to be like, oh my god, they have 4 fucking great 7, 6, and 5 cost characters, and I'm fucked because I happen to draw mostly my 2 or 3 cost characters, and I have 1 or 2 6 and 5 cost characters who just can't keep up with the Mountain plus Jamie, or the or Jamie plus Tywin, or Tywin plus Tyrion, or whatever nonsense that is, like, that they have. Like, I don't mind first snow in Martell decks, or in most, or Stark, or whatever faction. It's just I want to break up Lannister first snow decks.
Hey, can I? This is an actual final deck copy because I didn't run a few of these cards. But Knight of Flowers is not in my Lanny Rose.
Okay.
And the first comment was, to be honest, this deck doesn't look like a top contender. Just in case you thought good new players would be good if we didn't hand them decks. Just for the record, this deck can't be good, really, because John and I made this for 2 weeks, so it's amazing. Move on. For at least the meta at the time.
Okay, so we have Mark, Major Mark, in the chat.
It's Mark
is,
Downing. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
The
I
best
don't know.
Tulsa player.
I don't know that Mark. I don't think I met
Really?
him.
You've
at
met
Gen-
him. He's a really good guy. You'll like
Was he at Gen Con last year?
Yeah, he's a big cranky dude. You'll like him.
Okay, I
Wait,
don't
is it Mark?
remember him.
Yes,
Mark is
he
number one?
he's
I hear
very
good about Phil.
cranky. Very
Yeah,
very
he is.
cranky.
It's good though. Like he's good cranky, not like
But I don't think I
not
met.
like pink beard cranky.
I'll be completely honest. Like, I don't think I like Mark. Just put it in the chat. Like, did we meet at Gen Con? Like, I met a bunch of the Tulsa boys, but I don't remember meeting you. And that could just be I'm a bad person. He didn't play last year. There we go. That explains it.
Oh, he played. No, yes, he did. That's bullshit. Didn't? Oh, was it
He
2
just
years
literally
ago?
said he didn't play.
Yeah, I
last
can
year.
read. I can
That's
read.
bullshit.
But he made the cut. With the same deck. What Roy? HOD Live 2. He like
Yeah,
made
LIV
top
2.
Oh, it was the year before. It was the year John actually, I think, knocked him out. But yeah,
Gen
yeah.
Con?
Got
Yeah,
it,
I wasn't.
got it. My bad.
Like, I wasn't even playing the game when that happened. So.
Yeah, no, you're right. I remember it now. My fault. That's my bad. It was the year before. I just remember him playing against John and John being John. Like,
Okay.
because I think his deck was better.
Then John's power was he playing Power Behind the
It
Throne
was
that
the
year?
PPC deck that I made John play, and it was a miracle DC didn't knock us out. It was the worst DC showing ever. DC had the perfect deck to beat us. It was amazing, and it was totally my fault, so it's a miracle. But John got a card design, so it can't be that bad.
We got it from. Well, he got overall, I guess, right?
Yeah, he
'Cause
won.
He didn't win the melee.
He was second in Joust and won melee.
Oh, he won melee.
Yeah, he won melee because no one would let Simone win because Simone's a douche.
All reasonable things.
He
to do.
is, man. That guy doesn't even show up in California. He lives here, but he's like a ghost. No one really knows. who he
Because
is.
Corey won't let him.
Is that what's happening? No, get out of here.
It's 100% my assumption. If
Get
if
outta
Simone
here.
is playing Thrones and he's not showing up, Roy, why is someone not showing up?
Because Corey said don't show up.
Yep. If he's not playing, the other option is he's not playing. That's possible,
No.
right?
No.
No way, you guys. Nah, come on.
You don't understand how. Okay, that's fine.
I think he just doesn't really know the Thrones community in California, and he's like talks so much shit about it. He's just like,
You-
oh, I don't want to show up to a tournament.
You don't
Get
even
that.
slightly understand how Simone works. It's cute.
Really? Maybe not. I've never played him.
He's ridiculously good. He's an asshole, but he's ridiculously good. He's my boy. I can't even. His bachelor party is Gen Con this year, and fucking Sandy Dickwad Barnabas, who didn't answer my call, isn't coming.
He's going. Yeah, they're going on a family vacation to the super beach.
I'm calling
So-
him again.
Oh,
The
my gosh.
Super Beach. What is that?
The Maldives, I think, is where he's going.
What's
I
the
can't remember.
Maldives?
The Maldives. Well,
Well, I mean, Sandy is is wealthy, could buy and sell all of us here several times over. So, you know,
Can't buy Thrones titles though, can you? Can't buy those.
no, but who knows? Sandy could buy himself Sandy is on his way to Origins right now. So
Right now, let's find.
And no one else is, so maybe.
Yeah,
he-
Alright,
he
well,
might win by being the only person there except Luke.
before
And
we
really,
transition,
fuck Luke.
Wortley versus Sandy. Finals and round 1 and cut to top 2. It's all just them.
anyway, so do we have anything else we want to say about the FAQ or restricted list before we move on to listener/chat questions?
I'll say even though we kind of all gave a little bit of an opinion, my ultimate position is I'd like to see no restricted list or erratas right now because I just don't think they're necessary. We're getting more cards, right? Even if it's not till July, that sucks. I mean, that really sucks. I was hoping for June, July, August, September, October. I wanted 5 new packs and a big box before Worlds. And if that's going to kind of go down to 4 packs, maybe even 3 packs, that's pretty
I think it's going to be 2
disappointing.
packs in a box.
Two?
That's
Oh,
what I
that would be
bet.
Such a bummer.
Well,
That
no,
would-
wait. Worlds is in November, right? So it'll be 3
Yeah.
packs in a box.
But we
That's
need
fine.
11 days, right? So if it's an end of July, that really only gives you July, August, and September. The October pack, if it's at the end, would not be legal. So I guess that would be 3 if we get a July.
3. I think you'll have the box and at least 2 packs legal.
The box has got to be out because they said quarter 3, right? And by the time we're in November, that's quarter 4.
I wouldn't be surprised if for sale the box is available at Gen Con.
Gen Con. Yeah.
I mean, it won't be legal until like October 1st or whatever the fuck. Like that's what they did with Star Wars last year, right? Because I bought the Star Wars box at Gen Con and it wasn't tournament legal until almost Worlds time. So,
But I
can
think we've
imagine the same
seen.
thing.
I think we saw with the Stark box that actually the packs seem to shake up the meta a lot more than the big boxes did. So I mean, if I know we don't have a choice, but I'd rather see more packs than the Lanny box.
I both agree with you, Sid, and I disagree. Like, I think it came out because the pack came out like right away. Like I think in the long term, the Stark box has shaked up a lot. I mean, it's made Stark Fealty is now one of the top 3 or 4 decks. So I think it did in the long term, but I think it had less an immediate impact because it was just more cards. Like the box demands that you build new decks relatively from scratch, or at least make significant changes, while a pack doesn't.
Are we
In general.
boring you, Buzz? Are you bored right now? I see you.
Are we
fake
still
sleeping.
streaming?
See your eyelids moving.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we'll move on. Aaron, do you have any final points before we move on to
I wasn't
visitor?
listening. What was the question?
Wow.
Wow. Sid and I are the only.
I think just
only-
Roy and I should just cut you 2 out.
No,
Actually,
no,
no,
no.
wait.
Yeah.
We need Buzz. He's our
What-
technical.
No. Look,
Aaron can definitely get
legit. One of my former students is super homophobic. He thinks gay people are bad people. He's a Jamaican dude. So so he posted on Facebook like blah, and I was like, you know what? I like gay people, and you need to come to terms with it. And he was like, dude, seriously? And I was like, yeah, you need to come to terms with this if you're going to be in my life. So I thought that was more important than this podcast.
That's true. That's perfectly reasonable.
Like I could block him or delete him for being closed-minded, but I'd rather actually try and change him.
Why did you just bring this up? What's going on?
I bring up everything that's happening. This is not a real podcast.
That's true.
It's
I
just
agree
true.
with your principles, but what's going on? What's happening?
So I guess we'll move on to viewer/listener questions.
Let's
We'll
do
start-
the big one first.
Okay, we'll do the big one first because that's what Sid wants. Because Sid wanted it to be a separate topic, but luckily Dark Naj, former co-founder of this video cast,
And
former
then-
host.
And then
Are we
Alex
calling him a
Hines-
co-founder?
Oh,
He was
We
in the
should've
first
said
episode.
1. No video. No video.
He was a guest.
He's a guest. That's good.
Okay, so Joe Collins, aka Jonathan Andrews, aka Dark Naj, asks: is Origins even half as cool or as good a skill test as Gen Con? A related question is, for example, could the winner even make the cut at Gen Con?
make the cut probably, but like at Thrones, and this is a big thing that's actually really important. If you win, like the whole reason I actually got my name known was I won a DC tournament. Like you can win nowhere 50 times, no one's gonna care, right? Like if you win Michigan 4 times, are any of you guys noticing?
I have no idea who Michigan is.
Yeah, it's a state. If you win there where you've never heard of, do you care that the person won where no one good plays?
Someday.
Yeah. Uh-huh. But like Thrones
Wait,
isn't.
was Michigan the video that was like super controversial
Yeah,
because of the?
Yep.
yeah.
So
Yeah. It's the
that's
guy
all I.
cheating.
That's the only reason I know Michigan right now.
But
is
like
because maybe
if
he cheated.
yeah, exactly. No, if you win in a place where we don't know you, if you can't place in a real big good tournament, at Thrones no one cares. And I know that like winning is nice and winning is important when you're new, but if you can't take the tournaments where people we know are, we're just kind of like, yeah, that's a thing you did. And I know that's arrogant, and just don't care. Like, I've been to enough tournaments with noobs where I've just rolled them all over. Have you?
Yeah.
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 Like,
one of my
that's it.
one of my
So
store
hold on.
championships
Okay.
this year was no contest basically. Was
So
it was boring, but
Aaron, what you're saying is the reason you aren't putting much stock in Origins right now is because the players aren't flocking there. The best of the best aren't flocking there. Is
I
that what you're
mean,
saying?
the best of the rest aren't flocking there. No, like 2 or 3 people that are quality players that I know are going there. It's not like if I really wanted to win a national, I'd beg my wife to go to Origins.
I mean, I'll go further and say I only know like I knew one guy going to
Seth's
Origin.
going.
That was Wortley.
Seth
And
who?
then when you said
Oh.
Sandy, that was number 2. Okay, Seth is 3 people. I even like I couldn't name more than those 3
Yeah.
that are even going there.
But then, like, winning is nice. I guess winning means something. But until
You
you,
do get a
like,
card design
yeah, I'd like,
Wait, you do for nationals?
just for
I don't,
Joust.
I don't think, is that true?
What? No,
I
that
think
can't be
so.
true.
Guys, chat.
I don't think that's true.
Chat, sound off. Do you honestly, like, think that winning nationals with a bunch of, I don't know, whatever, means the same thing as winning Gen Con? Because winning Gen Con matters. Like, we know the Gen Con winners, right? Like, even fucking Corey Gulch, we know the Gen Con winners.
I
Right,
think
but why doesn't nationals matter? Like, where's the shortfall? Like, I think it should matter. I think we should care about our national championships, right? Shouldn't we?
it's American nationals. We care about nationals. We don't care about American nationals.
right. Well,
No.
Well, this is the first one, right?
Right. Well, let's be completely honest. Like, there's 2 reasons for this. One, let's be honest. Gen Con is really American nationals. Like,
No,
it
it's
really is.
like-
It is. Like, it's continental. It's continentals because Canadians come, and I guess Mexican players. I've met a few from South America, but I haven't met any Mexican players. But like, Gen Con is the big premier North American, largely exclusive tournament. Yes, there's going to be players from around the world because Gen Con brings people from around the world, but overwhelmingly, it is Americans and to a lesser extent Canadians, right? I think Origin's problem this year is FFG announced it way after people made plans. Like they announced it 3 months or 4 months before that it was going to exist. And I had already made like I would like rather
right
go
down
it's
the
a-
line, it might matter. But
down the
now-
line it will matter. This year it doesn't mean shit. Like
No.
overall in the bigger community.
But
Because-
has FFG been pushing it? Has
No, the
anyone
FFG
been
hasn't.
pushing it?
So, what tournaments do matter? I think that's an interesting question. What tournaments does someone winning matter?
Gen Con. But here's Gen
No,
Con
not
isn't
just Gen
really
Con.
our
That's not
national.
true. No, like not like in the big sense. Because we're saying like, what tournaments matter more than American nationals? Is my question.
Are we talking about like if you wanted to
Stalic
make
and every other national.
No, yeah, sure. What else?
Yeah.
Like, what else is not just Dalek and every other national? There's so
okay,
much more.
if you want to make a name for yourself,
Road to Stalic.
like that
Yeah.
through winning, like there are 2 options. You either befriend, this is the Roy option, befriend the people who do win tournaments. That's how you get in Thrones famous. Number 1. That's one path. The other path is to win things. So that means any of the Road to Stalic events. If you win that and you want to get known in the community, you can do that. Stalic itself, obviously, Gen Con, Worlds, right? And then to a lesser extent, if you win something at one of the bigger metas, I think you can win. Like if you win Kubla and you want to, like that's a big win. If you win Red Saturday, Aaron Glazer, for example.
Huh? I stopped
you know-
listening and we're playing to again. I heard my
Okay. Anyway, my point is like if you can win these, like if you win the marquee tournaments, and then there are certain metas that if you place really well in, you can build a reputation over time. Right? That seems pretty uncontroversial. Like I think Origin's problem is it's new. And it was announced at the last minute, all things considered. I think in
I
2017.
don't think it matters if it's new or old if no one goes.
Right. Well,
Like-
I think, but I think those are two things. Like, I think that no one went because every major Thrones player that I've talked to, even new players, they were excited for either Gen Con or Worlds. Like even the Brotherhood guys, I talked to them after the New Jersey Regional. They were like, I don't know about Origins. I think I want to go to Worlds because I want to play against the Europeans. I want to play like, and you know, that's the World Championship. And then other new players I was talking to when I went up to New Hampshire last weekend, like they're interested in Gen Con. That's what they plan for because Gen Con is Gen Con. Not only can you do highly competitive Thrones, but you can just play any game you want in the world. Origins hasn't made a name for itself, and FFG hasn't sought to make it something. Maybe in 2017 they will. I don't know.
I think that's what's frustrating for me is like even FFG doesn't seem
Wait,
to be
but-
behind the American national tournament, which makes no sense to me.
But before it happens, what do we think? Someone's gonna win that tournament.
really, that's so insightful.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No. But
Someone's
like,
gonna win that tournament. Buzz
Yeah.
is like bursting right now. He's having.
I
the
hope
time of
Buzz.
his
I hope
life.
Buzz has a fucking orgasm. But legit, like, I don't want to like decide that this person doesn't matter after, because if like Seth Lowe wins, right? We're all gonna be like, oh, Seth Lowe won, so he's good. Like we knew he was good. But if like some unknown wins, we're all gonna sort of discount it, and I don't like that. Like, what do we think of whoever wins, whether like they're known or not? We should determine that now. Does that make sense?
I think the overall field
I
matters.
disagree there.
The overall field matters. Whether it's Seth Lowe or somebody else, if it's like 24 people, who cares?
It's gonna be like 60.
It's gonna be like
How many?
60 people.
60?
Yeah,
It's gonna be one of the. It's gonna be one of the larger North American tournaments before Gen Con, right?
But you're just. It's like a big regional, right?
Yes, I think that's definitely the case. I think
it's our nationals. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed.
I'll be completely honest. I'm with you, Sid, about it being embarrassed that it's not as big a deal as it should be. But I think I actually disagree with Aaron. I think it's not a binary choice. Like if Seth goes and Seth wins, like that's not news to me. That Seth went to nationals and basically,
Corey gave him a good day.
and well, yeah,
Or
whatever.
SoCal. SoCal
or
does
So-
supply DC now, so it's
Oh,
Okay,
guys,
important
you guys are supplying DC. That's disappointing.
it's true.
Okay,
It's true.
I'm
like-
genuinely disappointed in you guys.
all right.
It's
So
not. But this is because of sharing, not
Well,
because
no.
of direct
You know they're
delivery.
they're never gonna give you credit, right? Like if one of them wins, they're gonna be like, "That was our day."
right.
Seth
If Seth-
did, but it was unwitting. He was an unwitting admitter.
Seth did, but
If
he was
Seth wins, it's because Seth is a really good player, and the field is whatever. If a new player wins, I will give that player like the benefit of the doubt. Like if they want to make a reputation as someone who won a pretty large tournament, I'll be like, oh, I'm interested in you, and if they want to be on this show, sure, you're more than welcome to do that.
No,
Or
they're not. I don't want
Well-
the motherfuckers on here. Do you, guys? Are we just letting anyone on this podcast? If they're interesting, they can come on. If they're
If it's
boring,
Seth, I would love to have Seth on. I want
Seth actually really wants to be on this. He was supposed to be on our first episode.
Oh man, let's get him on.
Seth,
Yeah.
will
I know,
never
but
be on.
Buzz and Seth. Oh my god, let's go.
Yeah.
I love
Let's go.
Seth.
Me too.
I don't I
He's
don't
like,
think
he's like DC after DC was horrible. You know what I mean? I
Well,
like it.
Seth is
he's
the
not
handsome-
Buttslav. I've met Buttslav. He's
Yeah,
special.
me too. Buttslav is fun. Fuck that. Buttslav will drink with me.
He's so
No, no, no,
fucking
no, no.
dark.
Bad.
Buttslav drinks with me like an
Let's be real.
asshole, and Seth won't. So I like Buttslav better.
All right. So are we done with Origins, or do we want to keep kicking them while they're down?
But
Let's just
no,
make
but-
Origins great again. Let's do that. Let's find a way
Okay.
to make it great again.
Next
Yeah,
year,
so
2017. All
we
right,
have
all right,
decided
whoa,
to
whoa,
no,
one last thing,
no
one last
wait.
thing. Will SoCal
No.
Wait, Buzz wants to
No,
say something.
no,
Oh,
no,
he's
no,
been
no,
he's been
no,
muted
no,
for so long.
no,
Let's let
no.
him say something.
So we have decided to not care about Origins.
Yeah.
Agree.
I didn't-
I mean, I don't. Convince me.
Okay, good. I just want to know what to think.
All right, Sid. If we want to make Origins great again, can I get a promise that SoCal people will go to Origins next year?
No, of course not.
There
Why
we go.
would anyone want to go to Origins?
There we go. That decides it. Like if
It's in
if-
Columbus,
Dude,
Ohio.
it's in. I
In
won't travel to
June.
Origins. I'm 12 hours away.
Why? We've got Gen Con. If you want to go to a convention, you go to Gen Con. It's not a question. you go to Gen Con. If you want like the cheap and I mean the reason why SoCal travels so well to Worlds is because it's cheap to stay, it's cheap to fly, and it's Worlds. If Gen Con were cheaper to go to, you'd see SoCal really pushing for that. But we push hard at Worlds because it's Worlds and because it's freaking cheap. Right now, I can get a round trip flight from Southern California for $207. It's insane.
Luke, you can make 2 tournaments next year. Those 2 tournaments are Gen Con and Worlds,
Or
or Origins and Worlds.
Gen Con and Worlds. I mean, it's not a question. It's North American Championship. I mean, that's an unfair comparison. The problem with Origins is
What
that
if Origins is way cheaper than Gen Con? Would you?
It is definitely cheaper. Like, and it's cheaper to get to Columbus than it is to get to Indianapolis.
Yeah, but Gen Con gets that. I mean, Gen Con gets that North American push, right? It gets the extra points for that. Worlds is Worlds, and it's the cheapest, which is amazing, which is fantastic. That's why you'll always see SoCal just invading Worlds, and you'll only see a couple of us at Gen Con because Gen Con's expensive, and it's only the North American. Worlds is cheaper, and it's Worlds, so that's why we roll deep there. Rolling deep this year.
Oh,
Have fun. I won't be there. I'm rooting for you. Not SoCal, you.
okay.
Yes. Thanks, Aaron.
So
This is my year.
That's settled. Okay. So next question.
Hey, wait. Hey, Buzz.
Yes.
New York's not a good meta.
No.
Dan Strohel.
Wait, no, they
Who?
are or no, they are not. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
No,
know.
they are not.
You don't know
They-
Dan Strohel?
They're not a good meta.
I
love
know
Buzz.
his
Tell me
name,
more.
but
Tell me
seriously,
more, Buzz.
there is SoCal and there's DC. Then there are good players.
That's
Oh
fine.
my god,
There,
I
there are
love
two.
Buzz.
There are
Buzz is
two
my
good
favorite person in the
metas
world.
in
Look,
the
I'm not
US.
even
It's
counting
SoCal
myself
and
as
it's
New York.
DC.
Dan and Dave make a good New York meta. They just do.
But Dan and Dave are like responsible human beings that don't come to Big Thrones tournaments anymore.
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah,
right?
It's a legit problem.
but I'm
like,
saying,
Dan
I'm
goes to
saying
Gen
they're
Con.
great players. They have great achievements. They are not the meta. They're not
Yeah.
a whole meta.
I can dig
Like,
that.
yeah.
I
So
guess that's
New
fair.
York isn't a good meta. They have good players, but
Yeah,
this is not a
no,
good
that's
meta.
fine. I
But
wish I could get more
SoCal
New York team.
and DC, they are actually good metas. They have a different. I think they
Wait.
have a different way of approaching the game.
Are we
No,
saying right
don't.
now 2.0? Do we even know what's happening in DC? I mean, what is the DC meta?
I have
Where
no
are
clue.
they?
I'm.
See, that's the thing. We're giving them 1.0 credit.
Of course we are.
DC is a question mark right now. We don't know. We haven't seen it.
No, they're gonna
we
win
have.
Worlds. It's fine.
We have, like, we know
Or
Kid is
SoCal.
playing.
Well, yeah. Well, no. You know what? I disagree with this. Kid and those guys, they're big enough. They're their own thing now. They're not. Yes, I know there's communication there, but do we have any evidence that? I mean, I'm sure. I don't think Corey's left the game. I have pretty good evidence that Corey is still invested in the game.
We all know Corey.
But we don't know. I mean, we don't know. DC does not really come out for tournaments right now, right? I mean, not right now.
Aaron, like, did they like? We know confirmed that our reigning North American champion is playing 2.0.
Oh,
we
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
We know Aaron Broderick, second place,
And we know I can beat him on any day.
is playing. We know
And
Seth
I know
is playing.
he's never beat me. Ever.
We know Seth is playing.
He beats me. But
Anyone
that's just what I was-
who, like, Corey has an outstanding card design, so almost certainly he's paying attention. Those
Hey,
four people.
Roy,
Yes.
how'd Corey get his card design? Wait, that's
I-
not a question for you. Stop. Buzz, how'd Corey get his card design?
How did he get his third card design? You mean?
Yeah. How'd he get it?
Oh, he didn't
We've
get
rehashed
it.
this story.
He's got new
many
listeners all the goddamn time. Actually, I
Seth
can
fixed
imagine-
it for you.
Can you imagine
him.
being a new player and listening to this bullshit?
No.
Apparently, new players listen to it.
They
Though.
do, but
that's what I
Yeah.
found out in New Hampshire.
Like,
Like, apparently,
guys.
new people listen to it.
Sound off.
Okay. I've lost. We're talking about DC, right?
DC.
Do we
Like,
have
I think.
No,
I think.
I'm not saying they're not still a dominant meta, but when Buzz says there's SoCal and DC, I think we still need to see DC. I mean, and it's understandable. This is like year one of legit 2.0 tournaments, right? So I'm still waiting. I want to see DC make their splash, make their moment. Maybe it's Seth this weekend at Origins. I don't know.
No,
I hope so.
it's gonna be Gen Con and Worlds. Like that's all they care about at this point. Like it's clear, like when they didn't get the regional here, like that Baltimore got it instead of Washington. It's clear that Corey and all those guys, they just don't give a shit about organizing the community anymore. They just want to win titles. Like that's what I would say. So I wouldn't be surprised that they are gonna have be at Force at Gen Con and at Force at Worlds. But they're not going to run things like one of my favorite Throw tournaments I ever went to was when Corey ran Calling the Banners last 2 years in a row that I went to. Like that's not going to happen anymore. I won't imagine seeing that, but I can imagine that there's going to be a huge presence for them at Gen Con and there's going to be a huge presence of them at Worlds. And if you
I
throw
want to see it. I need to see it.
the Wisconsin guys in with them, then it's going to be massive. It's going to be it's going to be equal to SoCal. I think Buzz's failure to appreciate New York as an outstanding meta has to do a lot with. Well, I'm bad. Let's just be completely honest here. But
Wait.
Has a-
Pause before you talk bad about yourself. Trey Aslip, can we talk about the game? You are on the wrong podcast, son.
we're gonna
Go
get
ahead,
back
Roy.
to the game in
No,
a
we're
second.
probably not. Go ahead.
Because there's a couple more listener questions. Is that Dan and
More beer.
Dave last year and this year made the conscious decision to choose Gen Con over Worlds. And so the Europeans will never see them again. Like Dan has explicitly said that he wants Gen Con to be his tournament, that he's going to go all out and try to win and try to get his team to win. So, I mean, there's that. Like, that's not going to let him make the international reputation that someone like Corey or Ryan and Bruno and Greg and all those people are going to be able to make. And and it seems like Dark Knowledge is going to be doing the same thing. I don't know if they're doing Worlds this year, but I don't think they are. I think there's definitely a split in North America between people who choose to focus on Gen Con and people who choose to focus on Worlds, which is very different. You guys have much better. You have Stalik, right, which remains this central organizing force in Europe, which we don't have in North America. That's a whole separate organizational issue. But I do think you're underrating New York, and I don't count myself among that. I am legit not very good.
Nah, man. The best in New York is good, and the rest of New York sucks balls. Let's move on.
But here's the thing: the problem is the best in New York. We want to see them at the big tournaments, right? We want to see them at Gen Con. We want to see them at Worlds, and we want to see them
So
playing their best competitive thrones.
I
right?
will-
But we're not
I will
totally seeing that.
I will never ever make Gen Con. Dan will ever make one, and I don't know if Dave will ever make either again.
You will never go to Worlds, Aaron. You're stamping this right now. Come on, man.
can't. I just can't. I got a kid, man. Like,
What does
life.
that mean? I have 2 kids, and I live in California. Sack up. What's wrong with you?
I don't even know what that means.
What?
What's a California? I know that from your hair that means you're a hippie, but that's all I get.
Well, I mean,
No,
that's
I don't think I
but-
can afford it, genuinely. I can't do both, and if I'm doing one, it's always going to be Gen Con when I'm not teaching.
I have nothing to say to that.
But you know
all right.
what? But you know what? Like, if we're friends long enough, I'll totally make fucking Kubla.
Well, there you go.
Like,
All
it'll
will
be,
be forgiven.
it'll
All
be,
forgiven.
no, like legit. It'll be a couple years, but I'll make it happen.
Buzz is coming to Kubla. He already confirmed that with me. Next year, Buzz,
Yep.
2017 Kubla. He's there.
Of course, yep.
See? Confirmed. You get hyped.
Um,
It's gonna be good.
okay. So let's go on to the next viewer question.
There's more.
Yes. So MT Edelman asks,
Oh,
what will-
I don't like that guy. He likes Team Right better. Go listen to the other podcast, you douchebag.
Okay.
Let's hear
besides
the
that,
question. Aaron, get off your
Okay.
phone. He's so disengaged, guys. Aaron is so
I
disengaged.
really
Alright.
am. I look the guy who's anti like gay people. I was like, I like gay people. Block me. He was like, you don't. I was like, I really do. Like, I really
oh
like gay
la.
people. They're awesome.
Okay.
So we got in a big fight, and now he's like, I'm waiting for him to block me or not. That's where we are. I'm like, go ahead.
Fascinating.
You know what else is fascinating? Me having sex with you in Kubla. Yeah,
is
that's the
fascinating.
sound that your ass is gonna make when I pull my dick out of it.
I believe it when I see it. All right, let's go.
You
right.
won't see it. It's your ass.
All right.
Alright, good.
What will dethrone turn 1 duplicated Tywin as the most overwhelming play in the game, besides Valar Morghulis, since that affects all factions and doesn't solve the duplicate problem?
Wait, what?
Basically, what he's asking is currently the best play you can make in the game is setting up duplicated Tywin, Rose Road, Reducer, Chud. What in the game will replace that as the best play you can make?
Yeah, a Stark.
Besides Valor.
A Stark 7 card. Think about it. Think what you'd need for a Stark 7 card. It's a Stark 7 card.
I'm not
Winter.
sure because we don't know the
Winterfell?
cards, right?
No.
For this other new setup to become a thing, or for the best setup to change, we need new cards, and we don't know the new cards. So how could we know the new best setup?
I think he means in the theory crafting level, like what is there something that can slow down that setup? I mean, because that is
But we can't just say a
Yes, and Gray.
7-card setup from start, because that's silly, right? I mean, that's 1 in 70 games, whatever it is. Lannister legitimately gets Tywin, Chud, Reducer, like pretty often. I don't know the percentages, but when I play Lannister, it's not that rare that I get a really good Tywin setup. So what not only can combat that, but be as consistent as that? Nothing. I mean, nothing, right?
I mean, the Arbor duping shit kind of fucks it up, doesn't it?
I mean, the problem is,
If you just set up
Arbor-
3 Arbor and some other shit, maybe.
but you can't set up 3 Arbor.
Right.
Can't. Even
So-
1 Arbor. Give me your 2 dream Tyrell cards to go with Arbor. It's still not as good as
like
Tywin
a 6
Chud.
card setup,
location.
and then we're good.
But
Like, I'm not saying it's as good otherwise. I'm saying it's as good if you.
But the question of like the problem is like a 6-card setup means that you're setting up a lot of things that are vulnerable to first snow, and it's quite possible that on turn 2 with a Tywin bullshit setup, you can just first snow on the second turn and be in a pretty solid position to own an opponent that's set up 6 cards, unless they drew all of the answers in their hand, which is quite possible because they drew 6
not with
cards
enough dupes.
or 8 cards in that case.
But the Tywin setup is effectively 4 extra resources, which outclasses the Arbor, right? So even then, if you
Yeah.
have the Arbor and 2 decent characters, you're still only 3 extra resources.
Unless the one drop is Braun or Rickon.
Right, but we're not. But that's not what his question was. Like his question
Yeah.
was Reducer Chud.
Yeah, no. Tywin. Spoilers. Some of us play tested the core set, and we knew.
That's an open knowledge.
Some people knew their names were in the set. Tywin was broken, and FFGs didn't care.
Not this guy.
Did you not know Tywin was broken?
I didn't play test core set.
Oh, really?
See?
All right. Well,
Did
me
you?
and Roy are on that fucking list.
There you go.
So
We are.
he did it.
Guilty.
We were like, "Yo,
Put him on
Ty-
trial.
Tywin is broken as shit." And they're like, "Yeah, I guess." Then they printed it anyway. So
Well, I think people underappreciated. I mean, we can't really talk about the details of playtesting.
yeah,
so.
we can't. But like, I mean, other people did. But like, me and John been like, "Yo, Lanny good forever."
Yeah, I mean, Lannister was strong out of the core set. I mean, you can just look at the reviews that Beyond the Wall did and the White Book did of the Lannister cards, and then look at the results, right? Although Lannister did not place in the top 4 at Worlds this year.
That's
What was the top 4 at Worlds? It was
Lanny's like accepted dominance did not come to the forefront as soon as the core set came out. It took time. Like it really did take time before everyone was like Lannister #1. They may have already been there, but people
I mean,
didn't.
there's
not catch up to that
lots of podcasts of me being like, "I'm just gonna play Lannister until they stop."
Aaron said that. I mean,
I really did.
he did. I think it took a while before people figured out though that the best Lannister build is the Lannister big guys efficiency build, right? Because there was Stromes's high pressure build early on. There was, you know, like the Lanny fealty that like Avaro was pushing for a while. There was Lanny Rose.
Hold on. Gotta be Kid says Lannister has holes out of the core set. And I just want to call shenanigans. Shenanigans! They were the best house out of the core set. I know people thought Barra was. They didn't start building the right Lanny yet. Lanny Rose was the best core set deck that existed.
I think.
Did you know I played Lanny Rose at Worlds? I did not do well.
How many seals were you running? I think.
Yeah.
How many?
One.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
congrats. It has to be built right. You can't build a shit deck and then be like, oh
no,
man.
no one knew how to freaking build a deck. At
Hey, look,
Worlds.
there's a kid next to you.
That was my dog.
Buzz.
Hi, dog.
Yes.
You wanted to say something. You were raising your finger as like I have a
Targ
point.
Rose, man. Targ Rose out of core sets. Yeah.
That was a pretty good deck. I mean, I think the card that realized that Lannister was really, really good was when people figured out that Seal of the Hand was ridiculous. I think it took a lot of first edition players, including Aaron, because Aaron and I have talked about this on Whitebook episodes, a while to figure out that a 3-cost attachment was
It took
good.
me a while.
It took you a while, Aaron.
It
took
did
you
not. Look back at those episodes. 221, 222. I'm like, yeah, run Seal in your Lanny decks because Tywin says that shit doesn't matter.
And you can also put it on Tyrion. And you can also put it on.
Yeah, I know
Cersei.
how it works.
Right, yeah.
But like
Right.
from the beginning, I was like, huh, these big guys are good. Like the game, the entire game right now. I play big guys and kill your big guys or make your big guys not matter? That's why Lannister's so good.
I don't disagree. But all right, so I think our answer is no. That there is no, like, we can't think of anything, and there's nothing in the foreseeable future that's going to do that. But who knows? Nate and Danny may have dreamed up cards that destroy that. Let's see. Is there any questions in the chat?
Yeah, the
I like
Cavs
there
are the
was-
worst. We hate the Cavs.
I'm just watching the complete, like the worst.
No American sports
I'm
now.
not
Come on.
watching.
No.
Alright.
No American
Sorry,
I'm
sports.
with you.
It's near and dear to my heart.
So
Sorry,
in
guys.
the core set, I think Lanny Rose was better than Targ Fealty.
Wait, I'm sorry. Repeat that, Aaron.
I think Lanny Rose is better than Targ Fealty.
Out of the corset. Okay.
This is a chat discussion.
Okay. Why do you think that?
Because Lanny Rose was better. Because Tywin and a Tyrion with the strength pun and no way to stop Marjorie made other people matter more, and all of that, and a million ways to get rid of Tywin was important. Sorry, not Tywin. Danny meant that it was better. They just got more power. It's what I beat, wasn't it? Like I had the Hound in it, but I didn't draw him.
Yeah, you did beat Targ Fealty.
And I didn't draw a Hound. So like, what first cycle pack was I running? First, whatever.
Hound. I think you had Brabham at him, maybe.
No. I mean, maybe, but also things I didn't see. Look, I can find the deck again if you really want me to.
I can't really
No.
remember. The plot. You were running the plot.
What plot?
The Wardens of the West. That was in the first pack, right?
I wasn't running that shit.
Well, okay. There's actually no questions in the chat, so unless
Wait,
chat
I'm
wants
looking
to.
this shit up unless it works. Chat, do you want questions?
There's something about deadly, but I'm not sure what he means.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, Deadly. He's saying that Deadly is a good answer. Like reintroducing Deadly is a good answer to First Snow, right? Because it like makes those boards where you have two characters that are going first or second more awkward for your opponent, right? I think that's what his point was. I believe. Yeah. Deadly is an answer to First Snow. Oh wait, which. Maybe Deadly will come back. It was a rules nightmare, so I don't know if it will, but
I don't want Deadly coming back. I would like it to
No.
stay away.
Yeah, I'd like something that limits big guys. Look, honestly,
I mean, we're
Fifth-
dancing around it, right?
I don't
limits
like
big guys.
2.0.
Come on.
Valor doesn't Like, I don't think it does enough.
Really?
I ran
You might be right.
I ran no for yeah, I don't think it does. I ran no first circle plots. I ran 2 seal, and I ran 1 wheelhouse and 2 hound,
There we go.
and that's it.
There you
I
go.
mean,
Uh,
think about it. Like dupes are uncancelable. You have bodyguards. Uh, Dupes you can set up. I mean, we've already got
Iron Mines.
Iron Mines, right? And we've got Maester Save. Don't underestimate Maester Saves. Uh, yeah, like Valor is not going to be the same when it comes out,
no,
and I'm
unless it
not
has
sure it
really,
doesn't solve it.
if it had really good stats, it would be. But without the really good stats, I don't
I
think.
mean, here's the thing: 2.0 loves big, powerful, unique characters, and I think that will be a hallmark of 2.0 that was
That
not
is-
in 1.0, and I don't think it ever changes. I think the designers want the unique bombs
So
to be bombs.
my concern is then what the best 2.0 deck is usually, if not always, usually the deck that has the best big unique character.
All right. Well, I think then that means, well, why don't we be armchair designers then? Like, well, what would keep these big character decks honest? It's clear.
Valor 461.
461 Valor? You're out of your mind.
It would keep the big characters honest. You would be
I mean-
sad. Think about it for 2 seconds without just your gut reaction. Think about what that would do to the game.
It
What-
would
what's
make
the-
every single person run Banner Kraken and just say fuck the
Ugh,
rest. because
that's
it wouldn't
true.
matter.
They so ruined that shit, huh?
See what I'm saying? Like,
Like,
no, you
but-
can't do that. You can't do that. It will ruin it all.
I
would
hate
be-
Banner Kraken. Like, really? You just. Why would you make Iron Mines non loyal?
Because Valor's coming. That's why.
Because,
Yeah.
no. Because it gives
And
you
it will
this-
have shitty stats. It will be terrible. And people will be like, oh, I don't know if I want to play this in 2.0.
Everything
And
makes
it
so
will be
much
a real
sense with that.
decision.
Everything makes so much sense with that. Like,
They've been planning Valor since day one. They have
no,
to have
you
been.
know how I know Valor has shitty stats more than anything else. Threat from the North. I don't know what its real name is.
Blood of the Dragon.
Dragon.
Yeah,
There you go.
Threat from the North
Plot no
has
one-
terrible stats. If Threat from the North had better stats, Valor would have better stats. But since Threat has no stats, I can't imagine Valor having better stats than Threat from the North.
It won't.
Like,
Huh.
isn't that how it goes? Am I nuts?
No, I think you're right.
I think Valor will be a decision. to
Yeah,
play.
but will it be no? Fuck that. Will it be better statistically than Threat from the North?
No.
Because like you don't print Valor
It'll be worse.
better
It'll
than
be
Threat.
worse.
Like so,
No
the
way- no
stats
way
have
Valor
to be
has
shitty.
claim. No
So,
way
like,
Valor has claim. I
But
can't.
does that mean has
get
to have
behind
2 gold, 1 gold, 2 gold?
No.
It's
No,
two, probably.
You could have
but-
3
Two
with
got a new
Threat.
curve. You could go to 3,
Oh, I don't think.
but you
so.
can't have claim and you can't have initiative.
Not with the way Threat works.
Wait, hold on, gentlemen. What if Valor said cannot be saved?
I mean,
I would love it, but it's
Yeah.
not gonna happen. I
that
would love it.
like that would be.
Limit.
But, like,
Greyjoy Woods.
What are the stats? Is
Wine.
the stat still 2 gold? Wait, no. Is the stat still 2? Is the stat still 2 gold?
I'd like to
does-
see 3 gold.
Yeah,
But I
like
would-
if it's 2 gold, cannot be saved. Even 3, does that mean anything?
Yes.
If you go 3 gold, I like that. With can be saved. If you go 2 gold, I would like to see cannot be saved,
I
but I
f-
don't think it'll happen.
I feel like 2 gold was important because most plots were 3 or 4. If most plots are 5 or 6, that 2 gold, like if you flip Valor and it cannot be saved, and I flip a 6 or 7 gold plot, you still lost that game.
Well, the
Unless
question
you've
is,
got like Rose Roads and a King's Road, you're good to go, right?
I mean,
Valor?
you've got to have a King's Road, not
well,
Rose.
Valor remains a setup plot, right? Like you can't just. I mean, there's the escape valve version of Valor, right? But I mean,
Look, in
Valor-
1.0, Valor wasn't that.
I know, I agree, and that's what should be in second edition, right? Like you should, if you're, like Valor is a like in many ways is like about closing a game out, if I remember correctly from first edition, right? Where you used it to, you built up a certain amount of momentum, and then you used Valor to secure that momentum for yourself. You know, if you can empty an opponent's hand and then Valor them, and it cannot be saved, it doesn't matter that it's 2 gold, right? Because you have cards, and they're just drawing those 2, right?
Yeah, I guess it's a thing.
I mean that.
I mean,
seems
that's
to be
one
me.
of many.
Strategies. I mean, I think the reason why they made Kraken or like Iron Mines non-loyal is it's an escape valve, right? It's a design like at the end of the day, if you truly are a player who hates all the targeted kill and hates Valor when it comes out and hates all this stuff, you could just Banner of the Kraken, whatever your deck is,
Hey,
and you have 3 saves in your deck minimum.
here's a question. Like, does 2.0 work as a game beyond big characters?
Yes.
Well, yeah, it just did before First Snow.
Yeah, but first one was here.
I know.
Let's say Valor is here.
No,
Like, does it work beyond that? I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm concerned.
what do you mean?
Do you think it's a viable game where it's just not like whoever gets the best big characters wins?
Okay, are you saying right?
No, that's
right
how it
now
was
with
before.
No Valor, or with Valor could it change?
No, Valor's included. Like, let's.
All right,
I don't
here
know.
I'll give you like it's anecdotal, but it's legit. So at KublaCon, I said I'm not gonna play a big dude's deck. I'm not gonna do it. So I didn't.
And then you went.
I played. Well, I went 4-2 and barely missed the cut. But the thing is, I had to rely on Varus as a reset because a control deck really does want a true reset in their deck, like a board wiping reset. So I played Martel Stag with no big characters, right? Like no bombs. It was 5. I think I had like 1 Tyene. Other than the 1 Tyene, 5 was the biggest cost character because it was all about control. It was a control deck with 3 Varus, and it just did Neil and Icon control, right? But the only games I lost, I went 4-2. The only 2 games I lost were the decks that Varus failed, right? Where I couldn't get him to go off. Every other time it worked, and it worked splendidly. If I had Valor, then forget Varus. I can Valor into those control situations where I had the cards I needed, where I had the econ I needed, and all I needed to do was wipe the board and go into First Snow or get my control lockdown. Like, it's there. The control elements are there. I think all they need is Valor. And with Valor, you've got a legitimate game where you do not need the bombs. Rant over.
I don't know if we do. I feel like it's easy to
Do. It's right there. We're right on the edge.
Buzz?
I
What?
want Valor. I want Valor to make the game interesting because I don't think it is right
the
now.
the game wasn't interesting in core. I think it wasn't interesting for a long while. It got interesting with First Snow, and it will get more interesting the more control options we get. Valor is one of those options. First Snow is one of those options. Now, yes, there will be aggro decks that abuse them as well. Like some kind of aggro Lannister have been using First Snow very efficiently. And Greyjoys with heavy saves will be running Valor. But there will also be really hard burn decks or some really oppressive dominance deck out of Baratheon, which will just reset the board, win dominance, reset the board, win dominance, and it will be more interesting.
So, Doc Ellis just said there's going to be a power rush that will counter the slow burn meta. And
Is the meta slow right now?
no,
Like
that's
slow
my
burn
concern. Yeah, I don't think it's a slow burn meta. And even if there was, FFG has a really bad history of nerfing rush.
Well,
Am I wrong? Think about it for a minute.
well, the question is, like, what kind of rush are you talking about?
Okay, any. What
Well-
kind of rush worked in first edition? First
Baron
edition.
Knights.
Long
Knights.
term?
Yes,
It
yes,
got-
always. Baron Knights was always good. It was
What did it win?
always,
Yeah, it was
always,
What
always
did
good.
it win? What did it win?
I have no idea. I didn't play for all the time.
I mean, it didn't win anything.
It didn't win.
It
much.
won nothing. Like, it was
In
a good
in
deck
the
that
US,
exists.
it won stuff in Europe. It's an Italian deck. I mean, it was played in
I
Italy
know the
for
deck. We all know the
ages.
deck.
Of course, it
Buzz,
won things.
We're not the nice people podcast. Like, we all know the fucking deck that ran
Yeah.
First Snow, Fear of Winter.
Yeah.
We know the fucking deck. Alex Hines ran it at Gen Con, and Alex Hines is a douche and obviously didn't compete with it. Didn't make the cut. But like it was
Right.
It just
Okay.
doesn't.
There are two kinds. There are 2 kinds of rush decks, right? In first edition, there were the Baron Knights that didn't necessarily run Fear of Winter. Like, the question is like FFG hated the Fear of Winter lockdown rush decks, the things like LIV2, the things like Siege, right? That tried to limit your opponent's options and then
For whatever reason, Rush
and
didn't work. Did FFG ever let it?
Well, I mean, I agree with Andreas in one point. Like Baron Knights always worked, and it worked. The one deck that could beat your boats deck was Baron Knights,
If
right?
it didn't win
Running-
tournaments, it didn't work.
Well, it was winning, and then they nerfed the one plot that let you
Exactly.
your
Thank
opponent
you.
wouldn't be able
Art,
to
art
reveal.
of
I forget the
seduction.
name.
Art of
Art-
seduction.
when they
Mhm.
they restricted it, right?
No,
They restricted
that-
Art of
and-
Seduction,
and
and it was like, come on,
Baron
it
Knights
was the
wasn't
one chance
It
Rush
was
had.
Martell Conquest Brave.
Barra.
That was
Yeah.
right.
Right. Well, the
But-
problem with that deck was Conquest, right? The
No.
fact that you could pop those
No, the problem with
those,
that deck was that
locations to get free power.
anytime Rush worked in 1.0, FFG restricted something. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean that's true, and I think it is a problem. Like I'm a person who personally prefers rush decks as well. I think though FFG has designed the game as it exists right now that rush can't work, or at least not rush the way in which it works in Magic,
Look,
Hearthstone.
we've got the best Rush
and
player in the game in our
1.0.
back pocket. John
Who's
is
that?
the best Rush player in the game.
Is he?
No. No.
Dark- Okay,
No.
in America or North America.
Yes, okay. So I'm
Fine.
silent now.
Canada.
North America, Dark Knight is the
Canada.
best Rush player. He just is. It's fine. You can argue if you want to, you just be wrong. But like, I don't know every European players. There might be someone better in Europe. But in North America, Dark Knight is the best Rush player. And like, if Rush worked, we'd know about it.
I think Rush needs to be there though. It needs to keep the other deck types honest,
Yeah,
right?
but it's not.
Yeah.
So
This is
It's
the
not.
big.
I agree.
This is
it's
the big.
not.
This is the big problem, and this is where I agree with Andreas. Right, at the very least, even though Baron Knights didn't win anything, Baron Knights was a presence in the meta. Like your deck had to be ready
Oh.
or have answers for Baron Knights.
hey, Doc Ellis is Patrick's boy. Doc Ellis, we like your deck. We're testing it. It still doesn't beat the very best shit we can find, but it's a nice deck. We appreciate it. Like,
Right.
it's a lot of effort. Look at the chat. Sorry.
Tier 1.5.
No, yeah, it's a really good deck. Like, I like it a lot. I just feel like there's one, and I'm not gonna say it. I feel like there's in 2.0 right now one and maybe like 2 or 3 for like 1.0 decks.
I'm getting there, boys. This is really fun. I'm getting there though. Oh.
Nice.
Was that me or was that the
know.
call in general?
Hmm?
I just
What?
dropped out. So
I don't know.
WTF? You're good. You're good.
We're
You're
good.
solid.
But like, how many? Okay, here's a different question. Without saying what they are, how many legit tier 1 decks are there in 2.0?
5 maybe, 5 or 6.
Buzz?
3.
10,
Trust us, that's a
15,
finger.
maybe?
What? Get out of here.
No, seriously.
15. 15.
Yeah, sure. 10. Okay, 10. Fine. 10.
I include like the big guy decks. That's like one deck. That's like one
No,
deck.
It's like one
It's
deck of,
one.
out of almost
It's all
any
doing the
faction.
same thing though. It's Lanny Targ. It's Targ Lanny. It's like one thing. It's one deck. It's Lanny Kraken. It's all the same deck. It's big dudes, big economy, pound you into the ground. It's not doing anything interesting. Like there's that deck, and then there's like 1 or 2 interesting decks that can compete, and that's it. for me.
I think there's 1 and maybe 2. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Playing
So,
California.
I
there's-
can live with 3, but barely. Like, especially as more cards come out. But I think there's 1 and maybe 2 tier 1 decks, and everything else is 1.5. Sorry.
Well, are you? I mean,
I'm
if-
close to agreeing.
No, I'm
quite
not gonna
close.
say what, Roy. Thanks for asking though.
no, that's not what I was gonna say, Aaron. I was gonna say like, so you're one of those people who believes there is a tier 1.5, or that's just you being kind.
That was me.
decks
not-
that you
that,
think.
that was me not saying 2.0. 1.5 is what lazy people say for 2.0.
Or you mean
Like-
for tier 2?
Yeah, if it's tier 1 or tier 2. If it's not tier 1, it's tier 2.
Yeah, I mean that's probably. I'm on the small thing. I think there's at most a handful of decks that are tier 1 that can consistently win tournaments.
Yeah,
We'll see.
okay. Not consistently win tournaments. Can win a tournament is what tier 2 means. Like, can win a tournament. But if the gun is to your head and you have to win a tournament, and you're gonna bring a deck,
That sounds like a
like-
great independent film.
Depends
Hey,
on
no.
depends on the tournament.
in first edition, there were like 6 decks you would bring at any given time. In second edition, there's maybe 3. Maybe. And I'm gonna say there's 1 to 2.
Okay, so this is the thing. There's only one deck. There's only one deck that you will bring to a tournament.
What is
And
it?
that's the only one tier 1 deck. And it depends on the tournament which one it is. And
Yeah,
the
but you don't
choice
know
is
the
between
tournament.
10 different decks. But it
All right.
depends on the tournament which one will be
I don't
the...
think so.
Now, of course it is. Which one will be the choice? Because the meta is different. If I go to the US, I will bring one deck. If I go to Stockholm, I bring one deck. If I go to Helsinki, I will bring another deck.
Someone sticks a gun behind your head right now. You are on your way to
Martel
the
Lion.
tournament. Really? Okay.
Any
You are-
day.
See? Then
I still just win and win and win with
But
it.
there's no more than 1 to 3 decks that you even consider. You see how you answered that? Think about 1.0 for a minute.
No,
Like,
but
I'm not.
I would
think
have
about-
10 decks that I consider for a tournament, and then I would choose one.
Your answer would not be that fast, and you know it.
But if I
deck
go to a
that-
tournament, I need to plan.
But
If I'm
it
gonna-
was
if I'm
not-
gonna
but
choose a
You
deck-
didn't have to plan right now. You didn't have to think. What I'm saying is, in 1.0, remember the fucking Greyjoy Wings? That one world?
Yes, I've played
Yeah.
against it a
Uh-huh.
lot.
Me too. That deck was an accident, and you know it. That deck wasn't supposed to be what it was. Shit
What?
just happened, and now
What
shit.
deck? What deck are we talking about?
The great
Greyjoy Wings.
Jakob's deck.
The world's winner. It was an accident deck, and like, mind you, when Jakob started playing it, I was like, God damn. But it was an.
What do you
accident.
mean accident?
I mean, it was a deck that was supposed to be something we tested against and played with. It wasn't supposed to be the deck anyone thought would be the gun to the head deck. And it just became that. And I don't think that exists in 2.0. I don't think there's a deck you find that is your gun to the head deck. I think we all kind of go, one of 2 or 3 decks are the gun to the head deck, and no one even really double thinks it.
Banff was for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
not
it just-
anymore.
Then it ended.
More than 2 weeks. More than 2 weeks. But yeah.
Maybe a month. It was like 2 months. Maybe a month and a half tops. 6 weeks.
In fairness, in the life of the game that's only existed a year.
It's pretty
I
good.
mean, in the way the meta moves now with deck sharing and everything, I mean, it came onto the scene and then it won like 6 tournaments, Buzz included. And then trading came out and it was like, oh, like I have a plot I can play to keep up with you, so fuck you, Bam. But
Trading in First Snow kind of broke the game. Is that no middle ground?
I don't remember.
Yeah, was
but,
that the same pack?
No,
No,
No?
they were different packs.
I mean, First Snow actually helped Banff quite a bit, but trading hurt it. And now
Trading
it's
was
kind of
before
in between
First Snow because
spots.
I was running trading the Knights deck that I was winning.
I've never played.
Yeah,
like
but
coming
everyone
close.
thought trading was
Thing.
bad for like a month, and then they
Because people were
realized,
dumb.
oh no, wait, it's good. Oh shoot, never mind. I love this.
No. The Facebook group thought it was bad for a month.
They did.
Yes.
I knew
that
it
was
was good,
funny.
and I was like, this plot will kill Banff, but no one played it for a long while, and then everyone was like, oh wait a minute, I don't care if I give my opponent 3, I just got 10. Woo! They didn't care.
Yeah. Trading is too good.
Restrict trading.
Restrict trading and First Snow together. Ooh, but there we go.
Yes.
All right. Well, we want to be under the 2 hour and 10 minute mess that Sid said that.
No,
we wanna
I've
be
drunk
under.
enough.
Wait,
I'm ready
who's
to- I'm ready
taking
to
Lanny
go.
Dragon?
I'm ready to go long
Wait,
into the
I
night.
missed this
Pass me.
conversation. Someone said they'll take what Aaron gives him. Who?
Buzz.
Huh?
He's talking about Buzz. All right.
Buzz
if we're gonna
won't
keep
take our
talking,
place.
I have to go use the bathroom, so I'll be back.
Buzz Buzz
I've done it
likes
twice already. I've
Buzz
been
likes
just, like,
1.0 style decks. He really digs 1.0 style decks. He won't take.
I do too. I want the 1.0 style decks to be better.
Yeah,
I think Bamf was one, and then it's just not quite there right now.
I feel
I think
like
it's a
But
good
it's
deck. But not
coming
a,
back.
no, I don't
it's
think
coming
so.
back.
My
He's right. It's totally coming back.
it's
Oh.
really not, but that's fine. My real
No, it is. Yeah, Aaron, you don't even know. You don't understand.
my thought is
Buzz
that
gets me.
Nate doesn't entirely understand what made 1.0 good. I mean, like, I'd like to be proven wrong, but I feel like
Elaborate on what do you mean?
1.0, I feel like 95% of my 1.0 games were won by skill, no matter who they were against. Like, whether I played Buzz or whether I played, I don't know, some schmuck that just turned up. The game would be decided by skill. The
But
game
what's the
would be
reason for that? Give me the what's the reason? Why?
because your characters only mattered so much. How and when you played them, you could draw more, so you can try and time things well. You can try and build things that your opponent didn't have answers to. Now there's only so many answers. Like, because your big guys were less important, so when they were killed by Valor, usually, you didn't build to expect them to live. There was just less of an expectation of things going as planned. And I don't know. Like, you can stop someone's plan, but if they can't get back on plan pretty quickly, their deck just wasn't that good. Like, I talk to Johnny Wright all the time, and Johnny Wright hates high cost characters.
He does.
And
He does.
every time I talk to Jonesy, um, what I'm told is like, you and Johnny Wright just stop with that low cost bullshit. That's not what this game is. And like,
We want it to work. Here's the thing. Johnny Wright is like, give me the low cost, give me the 1.0 deck, give me the control, please. And Ryan Jones is like, no, man, whatever works, play it, which is the big guys. I'm like in the middle. I'll play the big guys when I feel like crap, I can't win without them. But I want the low curve, I want the control decks, I want those to work. Um,
yeah,
so
me too.
I'm like the
But
middle guy
like,
between
no,
between
but
Johnny Wright.
that's what I want. That's the game I want. I don't want like everything to be those low cost decks, but I want them to work. I want to have a
Right.
shot for like. I don't want to play Varison knowing he's gonna die,
Right.
but that's not where we are right now. And
I'd like to
like,
play a rush deck. Like a real
yeah,
unambiguous rush deck.
well, like, have fun with that. So in the like, FFG doesn't like rush decks. I've played
I know
this
we've
game.
been over this, but
Yeah,
that's
they
what
just don't.
if wishes are fishes, that's what I would want.
What I want is a game that's not just who plays more big guys and gets more kill. And whether that's what Thrones becomes or not, that's what Thrones is.
Right now, I agree.
So, good place for the game, guys. Way to go, designers.
Well, I mean,
I blame Danny.
if this phase doesn't
I'm s-
last long, I'm
sick of
okay with
blaming
that.
Nate. I blame Danny.
If
Danny
we
didn't
go 3 or
design the
4
first cycle,
months,
so
I
No,
don't
he
give a
didn't.
shit.
If we go 3 or 4
Trying to blame something
months
fair.
with this kind of world of the big guys kill stuff, then fine, whatever. It's kind of day in the sun. But as long as we get the control decks rising up, as long as we get Rush with a new kind of avenue, I'm fine with right now. Like right now, it hasn't been that long. Like come on, like the big guy decks have not been the deck for that long. They really haven't. And I think there's evidence that control element decks, tempo decks are on the
So,
rise. So
I don't
I'm not
agree.
worried right now.
When the Night's Watch bullshit was on the rise, Dan was playing him, Jeremy was playing him, so on. John and I beat the fuck out of Jeremy's deck forever. Like we just did. That's how it got so good, because we kept beating it. And B, Dan beat me because he saw 3 Varus in one game.
Well.
I mean, look, if you see 3 Varus, la-di-da, you're going to win, right?
Right. But even more
you-
cards
but-
have released that make Varus less desirable to play
Exactly. So you know what that means? That's what we call variance. Like,
right now.
and
Yeah.
like, we played a close game, but like I discarded one Varus, then he Varus, and I flooded the board, and then he saw eventually just by top decking the third Varus, and it's just like, okay,
So AX Pickle wants to know: won't Kings of Winter push the meta into a cheaper zone? Basically will choke be able to push some of these more expensive deck game plans out of the meta?
so 9 gold versus 10 for trading, not that big a deal.
That's the thing. Trading becomes better in the winter summer meta, which
Yeah.
which isn't good.
And then the summer plot, summer harvest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you add trading to summer harvest, and like you're talking about a ridiculous amount of gold no matter what. Winter is stupid right now. Winter doesn't work. Like winter, you know what winter works for? The only thing winter works for, it makes Lanny Dragon better. Why?
Because it makes Winterfell worse.
Yeah, because Winterfell's a pain in the ass, and people are gonna run that winter deck. But like that, it makes Winterfell worse. Just makes Lanny Dragon and honestly Martell Lion better, because they don't have to worry about Winterfell anymore.
Yeah, Kings
I
of
do-
Summer is legit good.
Kings of
I
Summer
like
are good, and but
Kings of
people are,
Summer.
but you know people are gonna run Kings of Winter, right?
Yeah.
You can't
Kings of
afford the
Winter
auto
won't be
losses.
bad. It will just not have the effect that some people think it will have.
No, it has the effect. It has the effect of knocking Winterfell out of the meta.
It definitely, I agree. I think the presence of winter decks will make Winterfell worse, or force dark decks to
Run to
Run.
or not rely on it.
not rely on it. Which we'll see what Stark gets in the second cycle. But what was my point? I think the fact that Kings of Winter is not a discard agenda anymore. I mean, I loved Kings of Winter in the
Yeah.
in
I mean,
in
thank
1.0.
God that shit doesn't exist with reserve.
No, right. Well, that's like with the reserve reduction, it's trying to
gonna
do a
be.
version of
Yeah.
it's trying to do a version of that. But I actually really wish that like because one of the things I liked about Kings of Winter that out of Greyjoy and to a lesser extent Stark was that it could act as an intrigue challenge in an intrigue, you know, light houses, but there's not really those sort of like tools for houses that have intrigue holes to fill them right now in other ways other than just trying to find green icons through bannering or through something like Winterfell. So you still run Winterfell in a Kings of Winter meta. Okay. So Sid, any thoughts, or Buzz, any thoughts about summer and winter agendas?
I'm looking forward to him because I hope that it'll shake things up. I don't know that it will though. I mean, I really don't. I think summer right now looks like a good option. Winter a little less so, but maybe that's just because I lean towards more of the advantages that summer gives to you rather than the disadvantage winter gives to your opponent. Um, but I don't know. I don't think they shake up things that much. In fact, I think they make the big guy decks even better. So I'm ready. I'm ready for Valor. I mean, I think we need Valor and we need it ASAP.
Buzz?
I think Kings of Winter will be better than Kings of Summer.
Really?
Why?
Because the plots are better.
4K.
The Greyjoy and Stark interactions with Winter is better than the agenda. So they want to run. Sometimes they want to run these Winter plots, and they have interactions with them, and Greyjoy and Stark run guilty often. The change to Kings of Winter isn't that big.
Yeah.
Particularly for Greyjoy. I think Greyjoy misses the econ a little less than Stark does. Because already I personally think that Greyjoy Crossing is better than Greyjoy Fealty right now, and I think Greyjoy Kings of Winter is going to be better than either of them, because it definitely makes Fish Whiskers like a card worth running, which I don't think he is right now. I know Scantrell was having some success with the deck that we built on the White Book, which was Martell Kraken, I think, or was it Greyjoy Kraken? Greyjoy Sun. Aaron, the deck we built. Oh, Aaron.
Hi.
Aaron?
Yeah, I'm here.
The deck we built with Scantrell with Will. What was that? Was that Martell into Greyjoy, or was that Greyjoy into Martell?
Scantrell will work out kind of listen. But here's the question: if you can eliminate one neutral card from the game, what would it be?
non-plot.
I don't plot, sure, whatever.
One neutral.
Trading. I would cut trading. Get rid of it.
Yeah?
I don't like what it does right now for the game. I wish trading was never printed.
Yeah. That's not my answer, but I agree.
Buzz?
Cereal?
Buzz?
Cereal, maybe?
Cereal? Come on.
Yeah, I hate that card. It's just a military icon. It gives a military icon. It's like bad and bad. I don't know.
I'm going to say Tears.
The King's Road.
King's Road. Interesting.
That burst economy, if you see it and your opponent doesn't, is too much of an advantage. It's too variance based.
So
If you get rid of it, the game is much more even. The game is much more skill based. Nice catch, Lucas. But
I got it.
yeah, I saw that. But if you don't have the King's Road, especially on setup, but in any case, the game becomes less about because everyone can run the same plots, but you can't control when you see a King's Road. And if one person sees one and one person doesn't, especially on setup, or especially when you want to play that bomb, it defeats the whole skill of the game.
I'll agree that when you see King's Road and Noble Cause or King's Road and trading, it just gets stupid. The game becomes totally stupid when it's King's Road and they've got a Rose Road and they've got a Reducer and they've got a King's Road. It's oh, you know what? Screw this game. I'm done.
I gotta be
I'm
honest
done with
that
that matchup.
I'm behind Aaron's decision. The problem is there's a fundamental design flaw that means that we have to King's Road, which is one of the factions was given economy as one of their themes. That they're going to always have an economy advantage. That is a fundamental theme of Lannister. And King's Road is one of the few tools that the other factions have to keep up with that stupid fucking Tywin Reducer chud. If you set up 4-cost character, 2-cost character, Rose Road,
but only for
King's Road,
one turn. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
right,
I don't think that actually keeps up with Tywin. I think
it can,
that's
though, because it doesn't necessarily keep up with Tywin, but it can give you breathing room to come up to answers with Tywin. The games that I've won where someone sets that up, it's because I have a King's Road either on setup or on the first turn, because that lets me to play. Say I'm playing Stark. It lets me play Fast Eddie and Rob with a Noble Cause turn or something like this.
Vladimir asks, "It's a 2 gold push. Is that really that big of a deal?" Yes. I mean, genuinely, yes. I want you to pay attention for the games that are in front of you from now on about how much that 2 gold push hits. I think it's everything. I think that's what wins and loses games. Let's say no one's playing Lannister in a game for a moment because Tywin changes things, yes? No one's playing Lannister in a game. The person who saw the King Road beats the person that didn't.
So we've been talking all this cast about big guys being the thing, right? The meta. Yeah. So King's Road, it throws away a card and makes you put down bigger characters than your opponent.
Yes.
That's great.
Uh-huh.
So that's it.
Yeah. That's the whole game right now.
But when we talked about... So, Roy, you said Tears, right? And several in the chat said Tears. Don't you think Put is way more... Because Put is played more in pressure decks, and it's more swingy. Because you cannot use that character.
How much Martell is in the meta?
A lot.
I think the problem that, at least for me, the thing I hate about Tears is that it punishes factions that they specifically left intrigue holes as a design decision.
Yes, but
that's the problem. If every faction had equal access to intrigue, I'd be fine with Tears.
That's not a problem.
It is a problem.
Because these other factions were given ice. They were given Seastone Share. They were giving military presence. They were giving these pressure things. And if these have access to Put and Tears and stuff like that, then it's a problem. And they do at the moment.
Lannister, right?
Yes, that is Lannister. They have the military
Tears,
presence.
They can leverage Put equally. And no other
Okay.
house can do that as well as they can leverage both those two events.
I think
No. Okay, that's just a Tyrion design decision, right?
well, yes and no, but
It's not just Tyrion though. I mean, look at Gregor and look at the Hound. They can leverage the military challenge as good as any house can. Just those two characters can leverage
Everett,
military as well as
I
any
mean,
house.
unless they're bannered.
the
Yeah,
specific
but then look at intrigue
So,
also. In
so
house,
wait,
the Lannisters are unparalleled.
I agree with Sid because I think but it was a specific design decision, right, that they made with the first cycle. Like when Nate sat and designed the first cycle, the theme he chose to push for Lannister was military, like military.
yeah,
Like
what? That was such a weird choice, wasn't it?
it was a weird choice because coming out of the core set, like Lannister could leverage put with Tyrion and things like that, but it was much easier to play around than it is in the current situation with Lanny Kraken, Lanny Dragon, to a lesser extent, like Lanny Stag or things like that, right? Because they have the military pressure plus the intrigue pressure. Previously, houses like Greyjoy, previously houses like Stark could keep up with Lannister on the military front and lose to things like Tears. And if you had Bran, that's fine. If you had Risen, you had fine, whatever. But now they have to defend on two fronts in an overwhelming way, which I think is what's so frustrating for many people. Myself, I'll stand as the person who hates Lannister here. That's the frustrating thing about it. When both of the most impactful removal challenges are ones you can't compete with Lannister because fucking Gregor is 10
Gregor and the
strength.
Hound. It's
Or
garbage.
Gregor and the Hound. Or Gregor and Tywin, or Gregor and Jamie. Like when I was doing testing with Sandy, like Gregor, Jamie, like I had a good board. Like I was just like, but that's 15 strength, and one of those characters isn't kneeling. Like,
I mean, Gregor, Jamie, Hound, Tywin. No one else has a single military icon better than any of those military icons, and they also have the best intrigue icons in the game. And that's maybe getting to the heart of why Lannister is so good right now. Is two of the best removal events are Tears and Put, and they can leverage them better than anyone. It's insane. Like it's totally insane. So of course I and everyone else plays Lannister because that's why they're so good.
and Buzz, to go back to your initial point about, but actually why I think Tears is actually going to be a longer term problem than Put is Put you can calculate whether or not someone's going to be able to put you to the sword. Like I can say you're going to win this military challenge by 5. So and you have 2 gold. So
No, you guys are looking at this wrong.
but Tears, like it just means if you have the card in your hand and I have a good character without an intrigue icon and you win an intrigue challenge, you can just get it. Like if you have 1 gold.
Guys,
Okay,
Like
so
I can't play around
guys, does the game look? I really want you to not answer right away. I'd like radio silence for a minute.
What? We're
Think
having a
about-
moment of silence for your question. Come on.
No, I want you to
Come
think
on.
for a second.
Oh, okay.
Given what both of you have just fought about for the past 5 minutes, does the game work?
what?
Does the
Finish
game,
your question.
Yes,
does
of
the
course.
game work?
Yes.
Oh, what a letdown. I thought you had
Yes.
something else to say there. Yes, it does. The game works.
Okay.
I
So
agree. The game does work. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Buzz.
I just thought it was interesting because I think that Tears isn't the correct answer. I think that the non-military houses should have access to kill stuff, right? If you remove Tears, then some houses just can't kill stuff. If you remove Put, most other factions that are military heavy, they still win military, they still can play extra claim, they still have ice and stuff like that. And it's less swingy when the Stark player opens with trading, for example, or a 2-claim plot. Yes, winter is coming, ice, put to the sword, I win.
What happens to the game when Valor's released with all this removal?
You use it to remove dupes.
It makes control a little bit better, but I don't think it helps the high kill houses or factions that much, really at all.
But I want to come to Buzz's point though. I do agree with you. I just wish the tiers was if you win an intrigue challenge by 5 or more, place a poison token and do that. Which I think the intrigue houses could do is the fact that I can tie you on an intrigue challenge and you can just kill someone like that. Which you can't do with a put.
But
Like a put, like if I really want to stop a put to the sword, most of the time you can stop a put to the sword unless you're
yes,
already
but
super
you get
behind.
Unless Gregor
but
is on.
you also get
Right,
the
like
effect
Gregor.
instantly. It's way more rewarding to put than tears.
The game is poorly designed.
I guess I don't know. Maybe it's because I played too much Stark and Greyjoy, right? Like yeah, okay, I can use Eddard and I put a bunch of renown on Rob for a turn, but then Rob is just dead for the rest of the game, and you have all of your stuff. Like I think I don't know. Again, I'm not as good as any of you guys. I will bow to Buzz's wisdom, but I think Tears is going to end up, because it is a one cost just win the challenge event, is going to be a longer term problem than put.
I mean, there's tears on the stick.
Yes.
Longer term love, not a
Love.
not a problem, not an issue. Just love.
And I want to come back to Aaron, though. I think the game really works. And this is actually something I was thinking about weird today. I think on a casual level, Thrones is amazing.
Yeah, but I'm
Like,
not
you
so
can
what I'm
literally-
talking about,
right,
obviously.
right. Well, but I mean this seriously, though. Like, it's easy for us who play at a competitive level and think about the competitive level. Like, you can just build a whole bunch of thematic cool decks, and they will do things in a really interesting way. And I think in many ways, more so than first edition, at least for me. Like if you want to build like a Night's Watch deck that feels like the Night's Watch, with you defending the wall and you have all these cool characters, you can build that, and you can actually do okay. Like it functions as a deck with coherent things that it wants to do and achieve these things. Is it competitive? No. But on a competitive level, I think the game is not necessarily in the happiest place right now.
I don't know if the game works competitively. I think it works as a fun game. And I'm not saying it doesn't work competitively yet. But the more I test and the more I play, and mind you, I test 4 or 5 times a week, the closer I am to just saying, as a competitive game, this is deeply flawed without changes.
What's the flaw? What's missing?
A real valor, a real reset, too much emphasis on characters, too much emphasis on variance and draw. Like there's everything in this game is variance right now, right? Think about it for a minute. Everything in this game is like I don't want to say 100% because nothing's 100%, but 90% variance based. If you're not playing Lannister and you see a King's Road and your opponent doesn't, if you are playing Gregor, if you are playing X, Y, or Z, the game is a variance game, and it's. I mean, like think about games you've played. There's decision points, but all three of you also played 1.0, and I want you to think about how often you have a real decision point, and tell me I'm wrong. I hope you do. I'd like to be wrong. I don't want to think this is an ill-designed game, especially because a game I love for it. But I think I'm getting closer and closer to the point where I think this game is ill-designed. I think we're getting closer and closer to the point where this game is luck-based, where this game is not decision point-based.
I disagree.
Why?
Well,
You
think
drunk,
right
you don't
now-
know what the fuck you're talking about.
I'm better. I'm smarter when I'm drunk. It's okay, Buzz. You can
No,
trust,
no, I-
trust what I'm saying right now.
No, no,
Sorry,
I said to
I'm
Aaron, of
I was
course.
drunk, so it's okay. I think we're in a weird place in this exact moment in time.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Well,
Sorry.
what
No,
I
no,
mean
Fly
is,
Tactics said something. I'm
no, I got this. During the first cycle kind of release schedule, I thought the game was actually moving along very nicely. That we were switching kind of what dominated, what didn't, and what Roy brought up earlier, we're kind of in a gap spot right now where things feel just a little bit stale. And because we're such a small card pool, as soon as you feel that staleness, everything just kind of comes to a standstill, and we're like, this is what's best, and nothing else works, and this game's all luck. But as soon as we get come on, cycle 2, hurry up. As soon as cycle 2 starts rolling, as soon as we get more boxes, I think we'll all just look back at this and be like, yeah, it was an early card pool and it kind of sucked. Yeah, these decks were like the dominant thing.
Sure,
But
one day, but like think about the last good deck or the last dominant deck that nothing could beat. And like I don't feel like we're moving from good deck to good deck and competitive deck as much as we're moving from deck that beats everything to other deck that beats everything.
I don't know about that. I think we are still seeing competitive deck, competitive deck, competitive deck. I think it's happening. We've just stopped right now. Like big guys has a slight edge over a more tempo controlly deck, but it's a slight edge. I don't think the edge will last. We know Valor's coming. We know a lot more cards are coming. I'm not going to call Doomsday just yet. I
I'm
think
not
we're.
calling Doomsday.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
You sound
Yes,
because
you are.
no, because
totally are.
no,
Yeah,
'cause-
thank you,
What?
Buzz. He's totally calling Doomsday. He's like, this
it's 3-1
game is
here.
not competitive.
I don't
Come
think
on.
it is. I think finding the next deck that dominates everything is competitive, but like I don't think it's as competitive once that deck is found, and I don't know if anything changes that.
But as competitive as what? Like 1.0 and we had a
Yeah.
billion cards? I mean, yeah, of course not.
One
We've got,
know
we've got
you know
one
what?
cycle.
in
a
New
single,
in New York, we had when I first started playing a series of tournaments where you had one cycle and deluxe boxes. And like, yes, that is more cards than right now, but not like considerably. And it wasn't the same. It just genuinely wasn't.
we've got a core set and one cycle and no valor. I mean, come on. We're on the cusp of like the great resurgence of Thrones. Valor comes out, we get another cycle. I mean, when we hit 8 deluxe expansions, we're living in utopia, guys. Come on, be real.
I know you believe that,
I do.
but look, I'm not even saying about right now because right now is definitely temporary. I'm good at trends.
Yeah.
I'm good at design sense. Like it's what I do. Like it's sort of why I am ever good when I'm good. Like when I predict where we're going wrong, I'm not good for a while. And when I predict where we're going right, I'm really good for a while. And everything about the way design is going suggests that we're going to go from really good big guy deck to really good big guy deck for at least the foreseeable future, and I don't think a Valor with poor stats necessarily changes that. I would like a Valor with poor stats necessarily changes that. A Valor with good stats breaks the meta, and we have a real game. But a Valor with bad stats, I don't think it does. And like I genuinely, I'm not kidding, I'm not being facetious. I'm not being podcast Aaron right now. I'm being serious. Like I genuinely think that like a badly statted Valor, when you if you have to deal with 2 or 3 gold with no claim on top of someone's 5 or 6 gold, like if they can draw at all, they're gonna kill you. Like the game is over
But I mean,
unless you have a King's Road, which is a silly
All right.
caveat.
if
Okay.
you've got a heavy reset deck, I mean, how does a big guy deck deal with Valor and Marched and good control effects? Like how do you overcome that? You've got to build in answers to the control, and then your big guys aren't as good. I think it
It
balances out.
depends. I think there's one level of control where that works, and I don't think there's others. I think if
Gentlemen?
you run a yes,
All right. It is currently 12:30.
Oh no, we've hit the 2.5 hour mark, haven't we?
We've hit the 2.5 hour mark. So here's what we're gonna do. One, I'd like to play The Witcher 3 for like an hour before I go to bed.
What? Witcher 3? That game is boo. Boo. No. That game is
I didn't finish my
boosty.
booze.
We'll talk about that sometime, Sid.
Let's do it.
But-
Because I think that game is a whack.
I would like
Okay.
to talk to you about it because I have a lot of Witcher 3 feelings. But anyway, not here nor there. But we're going to stop. But what we are going to do in the next episode that we do, I would actually like to come back and talk specifically. Well, what we really should have done actually is talk about Johnny's articles and really talk about sort of, I think, Thrones at sort of a bigger picture level, like at the level of design and the level of where deck building is in a very meta level. Because right now, there's not much we can talk about until Gen Con in the North American cycle. What's the next big event in Europe, Andreas?
I don't know.
we go.
Milano.
Milano.
I get-
There we go.
When's that? When is that for us
Sometime in June.
ignorant Americans?
Okay.
Like
so,
this weekend maybe.
So
Really?
them Origins and Milano. Well, Milano and Gen Con, right, are the next two big things, right? We'll because we're kicking Origins is the thing we're saying there.
Origins
until we-
not a big thing. Yeah.
Right. Until we see these sort of big tournaments with the full first cycle and the Stark box out, we don't really have much new to talk about. So I want to go talk about the meta level in the next episode, but I am going to actually force this episode to end now. All right. I think
Props and
both-
slaps. Oh wait, wrong
Props and
podcast.
slaps now.
Get out of here.
So again, I want to thank everyone who is live watching this for putting up with 2.5 hours of this. I actually think we've had some really good discussion in between, sandwiched between giving me a hard time, Buzz shitting on New York, and a lot of gossip about your favorite Thrones players. So
Wait, whose favorite Thrones players?
DC, right? That's everybody's favorite Thrones players, right? So I want to again thank everyone for listening. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, hopefully you'll tune in again.
Wait, somebody said goodbye forever. Heartbreaking, Axe Pickle. We
Axe
like you.
Pickle? No way.
Axe Pickle is like
Axe
goodbye
Pickle's
forever.
leaving.
He's done with us.
All right, we love you, Axe Pickle.
He's a noob, anyways. Come on, Axe Pickle.
Don't be a noob.
All right, thank you guys. We'll see you in a week, 2 weeks,
2
Okay.
weeks or less.
But stay
Maybe.
tuned. Stay
That's
tuned.
not a teaser.
That is
Keep
not a
your eyes-
teaser.
Have fun storming the
That's the title
castle.
of the episode. That is not a teaser. All right. Cut.
Wait.